Tank. See, you responded, therefore your name is Tank.
All right, y'all. We give praise, esteem, and honor to the living Elohim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. It's up in John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you would not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe but receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you. The Abba, there's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? So hallelujah for Yahusha. Blessed be the living Elohim. It's that time again. Psalm 139. Psalms 139. We'll pick this up in about verse 14 of Psalms 139. Psalm 139. 39. Hold on a second. Well then. I guess we don't need anything of that sort. Psalms 139 and 14. I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, that your soul know right well. My substance was not hid from you when I was made in secret, curiously worked in the lowest parts of the earth. Your eyes did see my substance, yet being unperfect in your book, all my members were written, which were in continuance, were fashioned, when as there was yet none of them. How precious also are your thoughts unto me, O Elohim. How great is the sum of them. If I should count them, they are more in number than the sand. When I awake, I am still with you. Surely you will slay the wicked, O Elohim. Depart from me, therefore, you bloody men. For they speak against you wickedly, and your enemies take your name in vain. Do not I hate them, O Yahuwah, that hate you? Am I not grieved with those that rise up against you? I hate them with a perfect hatred. I count them my enemies. Search me, O Elohim, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts. And see if there be any wicked way in me. Lead me in the way of everlasting. So let's return back up here to verse 15. Verse 15, Psalms 139, verse 15. So we're looking at my substance, not hid. I think we talked about this a little bit, but if not, we're going to do it again. Substance. Yes, we did briefly. If you recall, substance is osim. Ayin, side, mean, power, bones, might. My bones were not hid from you. Why is this important? Can anybody answer how his bones were not hid from him? Now, you have to look at the context. This is the writer saying that his substance is not hid from Yahuwah. Why is that important? How can we validate this occurrence of the statement? Does anyone have an idea? Can anyone answer that question? Anybody? Anybody? I give you a moment.
Scripture images. Okay.
Nobody? Don't got an idea? You finished with that? Oh, she didn't read that. Clearly. I'm waiting on y'all to tell me if you got something for me. This do smell like Versace arrows a little bit.
Did it have anything to do to correct his creation?
No, I want you to pause and think about it. He said, my substance was not hid from you. Osim is for substance. Ayin Sod and mean is the character, but it means bones. So my bones are not hid from you. Y'all know the answer, but you're probably going to overthink it. Yeah, y'all probably going to overthink it. You ain't got to overthink it, baby. Just let it flow. You have part of that correct, but that the part that you have correct is bones, but that verse is not the one. But you're in the right area. You are in the right area. I can say that. I give you till 7 minutes and 30 seconds. Darius then gave you a bit of the matter. He's in the general vicinity. He just got to bring it on home. Y'all got about 15 seconds. So let's take a look. Darius got a piece of it. We'll read the piece that Darius got. My bones are not hid from you. It's the statement. Let's look at the Genesis 2 and 23, first and foremost. 2 and 21 is sufficient. And Yahuwah caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam. And he slept, and he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which Yahuwah Elohim had taken from man made he woman and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. Bone of my bones, flesh of my flesh. Now I'm going to have to do something for informational purposes only. Genesis chapter 5, because we're not really talking about the woman here. That's not a negative. It's just we're not really focusing on the woman here. The woman is not the it's not the focal point.
You'd be referencing that.
Genesis 5 and 1. This is the book of the generations of Adam, in the day that Elohim created man, in the likeness of Elohim made he him. Male and female created he them, and Baruch them, and called their name Adam in the day when they were created. Man. We talking about man. So when he say them bones are not hid from him, he's saying man ain't hid. Coming to Genesis chapter 3, and let's look and see. Genesis chapter 3, let's look and see. Genesis chapter 3, you can pick it up at verse 6. Because you got to understand something. And it was something in this, right before I got on here, that this lady in this group had just referenced. Indeed, sir. Just referenced, and that's that women can be out of pocket and women can do a lot of things, but most of the things that women do is because men allow it. So if you allow it, she's going to do it. If you don't allow it, then she won't have the ability to do it. The biggest problem is that they can do things. We've talked about this before. It's no different of people going to a different church. That people will go to a place where they know that someone will allow something that someone else of stronger and noble character will not allow. So if this woman knows that she can be disrespectful, if she can be rude, if she can do this here, and this man won't allow it, there's no reason for her to change her behavior if she knows there's a dude over here who will go for it. Or there's another dude over here who will go for it. Or another dude over here who will go for it. Because I can just go over there. And that's what a lot of people do. You know, and this is what Yahuwah does. The number one way to punish an individual is to remove yourself from their presence. Now, this is something that we were just talking about before we came on here. This is what a lot of dudes get messed up at. That's why a lot of dudes commit suicide. Because the woman removes herself from his presence, and he is so because I just watched a clip earlier today talking about this very what it's saying. Lady say dude was stalking her, but dude was doing this here because she didn't like the dude, and she allowed this dude to take care of her for an extended period of time. Now, this man has invested resources and energy in something that you should have just never got involved with, because most women don't take that into account because they're not as invested. See, when you look at what Yahuwah has done, Yahuwah has a greater level of investment in the dynamic than you do. So that's why you can see him in Genesis 6 saying it repented him and he was grieved in his heart with man, or Yahushua weeping over Jerusalem because they not knowing the time of their visitation, because they were not as invested as he was. He had more skin in the game than they had in the game. When you came up out of Egypt, you didn't have any skin in the game. You weren't invested. So therefore, him leaving you is not going, you're not understanding that it's in your mind, you thinking you departing from him, because he tell you that there in Hosea. You leave and then you want to come back and say it was better for me with my first husband. Let me go back. Because you weren't invested. So since you weren't invested, you're not giving maximal effort. See, the man is invested, so his effort level is going to be higher. Yahuwah was invested, therefore his effort level is going to be higher. This is why most women are, because I'm also mentioning what I read you earlier, women saying that women love harder and women don't, because they're not invested. In your mind, you feel like you're loving harder. Because in Yasharal's mind, they felt like they were loving Yahuwah to the utmost ability, and they were not. And it all comes down to the level of investment. See, a woman thinks she's invested because she has invested emotion. That is not an investment. You haven't invested because your emotions are involved. Does not mean that you're invested. Because as soon as your emotions change, then you can divest, which means you were never invested. Because when you're invested, that means you had to give something outside of yourself towards another individual, towards a specific common cause, which would also lead to you having to make a sacrifice. Which is why we can say that Yahuwah was more invested than us, because he was willing to make a sacrifice. Because we were crying about making sacrifices with the blessing of the animals and crops that he was giving you. You ain't want to do that. So again, I'm taking the natural essence to show you that this is how we deal with you. You're not. That's why when you come to Mashiach, you're going to have to invest. You're going to have to invest. This is why most people don't continue going, because they don't want to invest. They feel like the investment is too high. The cost is too high. Why do you think it is so easy for women to walk away? It's so easy for women to walk away from the situation because they don't have anything invested. So it doesn't matter to them. I'm talking about on the natural side. They don't have anything. Why? It's no different than people who walk away. Somebody who is completely invested in Yahuwah does not walk away from the word so easily. No matter what is going on in their life, they don't walk away from the word so easily when they have invested in Yahushua HaMashiach. That just doesn't happen. When you see people who walk away, the reason why I say this here, because someone invested is going to be committed to the success of the endeavor. See, when you're not invested, you're not committed to the success of the endeavor. Therefore, you're not going to be willing to do the things necessary to make sure the endeavor is successful. There's no way around that. That's not my personal opinion. That's just not no thoughts. That's just life. If you've been involved in anything in life where you had to be involved with another individual, you're going to understand what I'm talking about. If you've been involved in any type of business, if you've been involved in any committed long-term relationship, marriage, whatever you want to call it, if you've been involved in any matter of athletics, if you've been involved in anything that causes you to have to invest time, energy, and resources into something, then you understand what I'm talking about. And that's what most people don't realize when they come in a dynamic with a man. A man has to invest his time and his resources. Those things are very important to him. They're very, very important to him. That is something that someone who doesn't have that invested, they don't weigh. Well, when we look at Mashiach, because see, I'm going to bring something into play because I had to bring two things into play with conversations with two separate people earlier this week. When you look at Mashiach, he invested his time because he left from heaven to come manifest in the earth and his resources. What are his resources? His life, first and foremost, because his precious blood is what has redeemed you. So that can't be quantified in any monetary fashion. And then he invested his knowledge, his wisdom, his understanding, his righteousness, all of these things that he has invested. He has a vested interest in your success. But see, the thing is that when you don't have a vested interest to reciprocate, he doesn't have vested interest to delineate any of those things to you. And that's where we have the disconnect in multiple areas of fashions of life. The person who has more invested wants something he wants a return. He wants something back for what he has given. We feel like we don't need to give anything back. You feel like you gave it to me, or the biggest line that most people say, ain't nobody asked you to do that. When a nigga come at you with ain't nobody asked you to do that, you need to eliminate that person from your presence and never deal with them ever again in life. If an individual know that you invested something and they took things from you and they had the utter nerve and audacity to say, ain't nobody asked you to do that, you don't ever need to deal with that person in life. That person is a horrible individual. That is a trash can individual. That is a selfish, malicious, malignant cancer that no one should ever deal with in any fashion in life. If a nigga can hit you with, I ain't asked you to do it. Well, why you took it then? That says more about their character than anything. You know what I'm saying? And you just have to slide. You can't deal with people who think like that. They don't mean you're no good. That's a nigga who got buzzard luck. That means anything that they touch, something negative gonna happen. Genesis chapter 3, though. You can pick it up at verse 6. Shalom. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and the tree desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. The eyes of them were opened. They knew that they were naked. They sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. And they heard the voice of Yahuwah Elohim walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and Adam and his wife hid themselves from his presence. Dang, it feels like I left the word off. From the presence of Yahuwah Elohim amongst the trees of the garden. Yahuwah Elohim called unto Adam and said unto him, where are you? He said, I heard your voice in the garden. I was afraid because I was naked and I hid myself. Notice, what are we talking about? My substance was not hid from you. This man, his bones was not hid. It's not like Yahuwah didn't know where he was at. He didn't hide from it. How could he hide? How did he try to hide? He tried to cover himself. I'm trying to think of what a verse I want in my brain. Give me a second. Give me a second. Give me a second. I'm trying to remember the verses in my brain. The location escapes me at this moment. That's it. Isaiah 30:1. That's what it was. That's what I wanted. Isaiah 30:1. I'm telling you, and I'm telling y'all this here because you're going to see it more and more. People walking away because they weren't invested. You weren't invested. I'm telling you right now, investing your emotions into something is not an investment because that's unstable. Emotions change from day to day. That's not an investment because you talking about you had feelings involved. Because that's what you hear in this modern day society. My feelings was involved. I was invested emotionally. Get the hell out of here. That's not an investment at all because an emotion and being invested emotionally is not even a commitment. You can't commit emotionally. because emotions are too volatile. They're not static. They change. So that's not an investment. If we were dealing with something to just say on the stock market, anything you're talking about actually investing your money in, anybody who invests money is not going to invest their money in something that is volatile, that can change from day to day. Most people who invest their money, they want something that they know stable, that they're going to get a solid return yearly. The stock market can be considered to be volatile. And you have people who take risk in the stock market. And by no means am I a stock expert, but I do have enough common sense to know most people invest their money in stocks that they know that are solid, that they know they're going to get a stable return. Do you know what I'm saying? And how can we make this assessment? Because you want to invest in the rock, and that rock being Yahuwah, because you know you're going to get a stable return, because he does not change. It's not going to be, oh, I'm here, oh, I'm here, oh, I'm here. It's going like they say, you don't want to invest your money in that. That's why people invest their money in low yielding vehicles such as mutual funds and CDs and things of that nature. Now, Roth IRAs and all that other stuff, that's a different type of deal. But at the same token, those are stable investments. These are not things that are going to ebb and flow. See, a 401k, for all intents and purposes, that's not a stable investment because it's contingent on the company, unless you're in a strong company. Something happened to the company, your 401k go. See, the company can fold and your 401k go with it. We've seen this happen. It's not my personal opinion. We've seen companies fold and people hold 401k going with it. But what do people press you to do? Put your money in that. There's nothing wrong if you put your money in it, but you might want to put your money in that something separate from them people. That you got that no matter what happened with them. But see, they're not going to tell you that. Just like I told you, I think I mentioned this the other day. Y'all seen this? Y'all don't even know why these white folks is asking for the IRS to monitor all transactions $600 and up. See, what they're trying to do is, see, this is here because they done peeped the game, they losing money. This is how you should know. Like, if you do business, you sure know what I'm talking about. Because niggas Venmoing, niggas Cash Apping. See, you thinking they trying to monitor this, that, and the third, and they are. But in reality, they looking at how many of you boys do. You ain't got to put it in the chat. Keep it to yourself. You know what I'm saying? But how many of you boys do business? People pay you on Cash App. Your customers pay you on Cash App. Guess what? That's not on no 1099. Guess what? If you do business on eBay, eBay ain't sending you no 1099. You know what I'm saying? You got to declare all that bread you made on eBay. Guess what people don't do? They don't declare it. You know what I'm talking about? You got customers paying you on Venmo. You got customers paying you on Facebook. Because I don't got a problem. I don't give a damn. I done had customers pay me on all of them things. You know what I'm talking about? Guess what? And they ain't sending you no 1099. That's undeclared money. That's money they not taxing. That's why they slid that in there on the back door. Because they like, hey, man, these boys getting off, man. And we ain't getting nothing out the deal. See, some of y'all will be mad. That ain't right. They doing us like that. But when you was in your land, Solomon taxed them people like nobody's business. He already told you what the link was. He said, who do they tax? Strangers or children? You a stranger, so why you care? See, you care because you think that it's something supposed to be equitable and just in an idolatrous, wicked society. I question your intelligence. And when I talk about intelligence, I'm talking about spiritual intelligence, meaning that you should have enough spiritual awareness to know that you should not be expecting the type of just righteousness from a wicked, idolatrous society who does not base any of their culture or life in the word of Yahuwah and then expect those who are in power to execute that. That is pure and utter foolishness. You are doing what you ridicule women for doing. Looking at someone who you know means you no good, who's never shown you any good, and expecting good to come from them, and then complain and get upset when they do what you already knew that they were going to do, but you was hoping that they would love you enough to not do it because all the stuff you do for them, because you just thought your loving was so good that they would change their ways. That is a definition of an idiot. You know what I'm saying? That makes no sense. Why would I look at a group of people who have never been just? I'm not even talking about in dealing with black people or anybody else, just their dealings, period. We know these people have no God whatsoever. They don't have one. They don't have one. Why would I expect them to do what is just and what is right? Why would I have that expectation? And why would I get upset with them when they do not follow through with an expectation that I shouldn't have had of them to begin with? What God does America serve? Who is their God? First people scream, money. You wrong. Money's not a God, son. Their God is the God of their own heart. Pardon me. Yes, sir. What? No, I ain't talking to him. I talked to his auntie, though. She said that's what they trying to sort out. What I told you they were trying to sort out. Because she said she had somebody on the inside trying to call in, and they said if that junk a red light, they ain't doing it. Yeah, she said the money ain't the issue. She said it's that particular matter right there is the hang up for them. Yeah, they said the money ain't the issue. Indeed. Straight up. Yeah. Yeah. Right. For sure. Yeah, that's really what it matters is the money ain't the issue. So we just play it by ear, and then we go from there. Yes, sir. Yeah, man. One of my employees got incarcerated, man. He already out on 2 bonds. Hey, people were like, shoot, they gonna revoke his bond. They like, that nigga staying in there. I understand, shoot. Who want to pay $350 just for them to say, shoot? But I think they give you your money back. You know what I'm saying? Because if they revoke, if you don't even get a chance to step out the door on the bond, I think they give you your money back. But you know that's the lesson is stay your black behind out of jail and don't mess with maggot hoes because the maggot hoe got that nigga in jail. You know what I'm talking about? Like this here, boy. One thing for certain, 2 things for sure. And it's dead serious, man. And Yahuwah shows, right? Because the only way you could do it, the person got to be repentant. The woman got to be repentant. Well, if you put a woman out, let her stay out. You know what I'm saying? She got to stay out. Like if it's really that bad, you get to the point like, well, you got to go. You know what I'm saying? Like you really, really got to go. Shoot, if she ain't showing no modification in behavior, she got to stay out. That sound familiar, don't it? Because when Yahuwah said you had to go, boy, you had to go. And the only way you coming back is with a modification and changing of behavior. Because I just heard somebody talking about this here, and I'll ask y'all this here while it's in my brain before I continue on, because it's relevant to the conversation. They were asking a question on this podcast. Do you believe that a masculine woman can change and become feminine? Now, one brother said he does not. One said, yes, you got charm school, you got wife school, stuff like that, this, that, and the third. Another brother said no. He said, really, you could try it, but when you get faced with being uncomfortable to this, that, and the third, you're going to revert back to who you are. A lady said yes, because she said, I'm a Christian, I believe in redemption, and this, that, and the third. Now, see, the lady talking about redemption and the first person who talking about the wife school and the charm school is correct. But see, this is the thing. She was talking about redemption. But see, the redemption of Yahuwah requires one thing. And what is that one thing that redemption of Yahuwah would require of you? If Yahuwah can redeem, because I understand your point. I can tell you, right, a masculine woman can become feminine. It's like this. We were talking about this earlier too. Like, hey, most people don't believe that once a man has been penetrated in his anus, he's done. He's a homosexual for life. I am not a disagreement of that matter. You know what I'm talking about? I am not a disagreement of that on the natural level. Because I feel like this here, for me, I don't feel like there's no coming back to masculinity after such a great violation. That's just my personal opinion. You don't let somebody pop your freshness seal, ain't no coming back from that. Correct, sir. A heart transplant is the only thing. And what is a heart transplant? That means that's a changing of the mind. See, a lot of individuals revert back to previous behavior because you don't change your mind. Your brain is the same. So that's why you're going to revert back to what you've always done. See, if you find yourself faced with situations and circumstances and you go back to what you did previously, that means you haven't changed your mind. You still got the same mind. And that's another reason why people do not have the success in the word that they desire, because the mind has not changed. He said, you got to make you a what? A new heart and a new ruach. So if you're making a new heart, that is a kadash leb, meaning this is a new inward part. I mean, you don't think the same. You don't view things the same. You're not going to react the same. You're not going to operate the same. This is still going back to the key component of Shalom, Brother Brown. It's good to see you, man. This is still referring back to the same my substance is not hid from you. See, there's no place where you can hide from Yahuwah. Remember, I'll read it in a minute. Let me just go on and read it. Come on with it, man. Let me just go on and read it. Let me get you this joke, Isaiah 31. Like it's here, a masculine woman can become, but this is also the key component. You got to want to do it. See, that's also the biggest hurdle, is that people don't want to change. You actually have to have a yearning and burning desire to change your thoughts, your habits, your ways, and your doings. See, men are challenged to be the best versions of themselves by life. And some men crumple under that pressure. You know what I'm saying? See, life challenges a man that you gonna have to, before you start bringing in wives, before you start bringing in other men, before you start bringing in parents and all of this here, just being born male, life is going to challenge you that you must improve. Women do not have that. Women are not challenged to improve by life. They don't have to They don't have to improve. And the reason why they don't have to improve is because there were men who will allow them to be mediocre. There's men that will allow them to be substandard because they have sex, and most men are moved by their lusts. So they will allow this and they will allow that. And so she's not forced to improve. That's why when a woman encounters a man who demands improvement, she doesn't know how to handle it because she's unaccustomed to it. And some of y'all recall when I asked you women, this is a very, very long time ago, did your fathers require anything of you? See, some men don't require as much as others. See, that throws a lot of women off because they think it's a universal thing, but everything is different with each man. Why is that important? Because what Yahuwah requires of you is not the same of what Horus requires of you. It's not the same of what Ashtaroth requires of you. She doesn't count you as a woman. It's not the same as what Baal requires of you. It's not the same as what Krishna requires of you. It's not the same of what Buddha requires of you. The requirements are different. So when you got people who bounce from God to God, they see the requirements are different because Yahuwah's requirements are Yahuwah's requirements. And Yahuwah don't even require much. Most men who are just and upright don't even require much. But what they require, they expect it to be accomplished. And when you don't accomplish it, then that is a problem. See, when you have a man and he requires a multitude, just a long laundry list of things, 99.9% of the time, that's when you're dealing with a tyrant. A man who is just, he doesn't require much, but what he requires, it is very, very important. It's very, very important that it's done, and it's done swiftly. And most women are not used to that. See, y'all think cooking and cleaning is a requirement. Baby, that's basic life skills. See, you like this here, right? Most women say, I want to be a housewife. Be a housewife for what? Because if you're not actively involved in the education of the children, then you're going to have to be working for me. Because if you think you're finna sit up here and live and just live and do absolutely nothing or just float around and do what it is that you want to do, you sadly mistaken. Because for that, I'm going to have a requirement. In order for that position, there's a requirement because you're going to have to do something to bring income in this house. Because if you look at other cultures of people, and it doesn't mean that every person in every different culture does this, but the mass majority of people in other cultures, they wives stay home and them wives are invested to make sure that income flows in that house, not can be in concern about how income can leave it. Because she is invested in what is going on in this house. Therefore, her whole mind and her whole energy is bent on what can I do to increase the revenue in this house. If I'm standing here and I know my husband over here doing this, I'm dedicated to that. See, that's no different than the Lord. Because what he told them, he said, he that put his hand to the plow, he not fit to enter into the kingdom of heaven. You're going to have to be committed. And how you going to bring souls in this house? You remember the parable of the man who he gave the talent? You mean to tell me you didn't increase what I gave you? So that means that you weren't invested into what I gave you and what I got going on to cause an increase. You did not desire to bring value to me by adding souls into my kingdom, by increasing my funds. All you thought to do was hold it. What did he say? You wicked and slothful servant. Oh, we got a problem now. See, the elements I'm talking about that I be telling y'all, I ain't doing nothing but see, I'm trying to give you a spiritual understanding with a natural inclination. Because if you apply it naturally, then it'll flow for you spiritually quite easier. I told you this before. Well, if you can't even serve your husband with delight as unto the Lord, you're not going to tell me you're going to serve the Lord with delight. I'm going to tell you you're a lie to your face. I'm going to tell you you're a lie to your face. You lying. You know what I'm saying? You lying. We didn't have this conversation before. You lying. Because he said that man is made in his image and you're supposed to reverence him as you reverence the Lord. I don't care what that man got going on. That's what your commitment is to him who you say you love. But what ends up happening? Our selfishness get involved because we go to think about self. Let me find a verse for you where it's at. Let me read this Isaiah 30 because I'm going on a tangent. And I'll grab it for you and make it relevant in our lives for you there, sir. I want to say it's in Matthew. I can't remember. I'm going to have to look. Give me a second. Let me read it. Woe to the rebellious children. This is Isaiah 30:1. Woe to the rebellious children, saith Yahuwah, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with the covering, but not of my ruach, that they may add sin to sin. That's what Adam did. They covered with, because remember, right? They made them a covering, right? What did Yahuwah turn around? He turned around and gave them a covering for themselves. Because see, his substance is not hid. His bones is not hid, meaning his body is not hid. And we talking about body. I'm talking about the body of Adam, not just the body of talking about Yasharal. To about Adam himself. That means Yahushua wasn't hidden in that grave. He seen it. Come over here to the book of Matthew, man. Let me get this parable for my tape, man. Let me go ahead and do that. I'll reference it. Let me go ahead and run that down for you, man. I thank the Lord. It might be in Luke. Luke might get us there swifter. Give me a second. Let me recall. Yeah, man. I'm going to tell you, like I said, because, I be listening to a lot of stuff here and there. Certain stuff that be a perspective. I just come and share it with you. I get inspiration. When I get inspiration, you know what I'm talking about? As far as the text is concerned, then I'm going to come back and I'm going to share it with you. Matthew 25. 25 and 14. And y'all wouldn't believe over the course of years the level of things that I done got inspiration from. Sometimes it be actual life events. Sometimes it be something I hear in a song. Sometimes it be something I hear somebody say. Sometimes it just be random thoughts that I stack on top of each other and stack on top of each other and stack on top of each other. And then here we go. But all esteem be to Yahuwah either way. Matthew 25 and 14. For the kingdom of Shamahim is as a man traveling into a far country who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. Well, what are his goods? Buy the truth, sell it not. Also wisdom and understanding. And it's something else. I'm forgetting it, but forgive me. Y'all know what it is. Proverbs 23 and 23. So he's leaving his goods. He's leaving his wealth. He's giving this to somebody, and you can see that we're going to see this one person was not invested and two other people were. See, this is the thing when people don't understand. You get rewarded when you're invested. When you're not invested, you don't get a reward. But let's continue. He said, unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1. Every man according to his several ability. So again, let's look at it in the Greek. Let's look at it in the Greek. It's been a while. We didn't talk about it before, but let's look at it. He says several abilities. So this is how you know you're dealing with men who dropping that work. You understand? And if we got to splice it up and dice it up, I'll splice it up and dice it up some more. It wasn't on the agenda, but it's all good. Remember, dunamis, ability is strength, power, and ability. Power consisting or resting upon an army, moral power, power to perform miracles. But in this one here, this is their ability, the power or the ability that Elohim has given them. Several in this instance is idios, pertaining to oneself, belonging to oneself, meaning belonging to one's ability. What does this mean? You have apostles, you have prophets, you have pastors, you have evangelists, you have teachers. Are all prophets? Are all doers of miracles? That means every individual has a particular ability to win souls. And that's it. Everybody don't have the same job. Everybody don't do the same thing. Remember, he told you this is the 1 Corinthians 12. This is where Paul is deriving this from, because whether you know it or not, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are scripture, and you got scripture in the to pertain to this, because y'all know this in regards to dealing with what? The courses of the priests. Every priest had a job. Every priest had an ability. We could go back and look in the law when he was giving the men wisdom to what? To make cunning garments. All of these different type of things. But I don't want to get too far off the beaten path. Let's look at verse 16 of Matthew chapter 25, if we would. Then he that received the 5 talents went and traded with them the same and made them 5 other talents. And likewise, he that had received 2, he also gained other 2. But he that received 1 went and digged it in the earth and hid his Lord's money. After a long time, the Lord of those servants come and reckon with them. And so he had received 5 talents and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, you delivered unto me 5 talents. Behold, I've gained beside them 5 talents more. He said, Lord said unto him, well done, you good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter you into the joy of your Lord. He also that had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, you delivered unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents besides these. Besides them, he said, Lord, his Lord said unto him, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. I will make you rule over many things. Enter you into the joy of your Lord. Then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew you are a hard man, reaping where you have not sown, gathering which you have not strawed. I just want y'all to see what he means when he said, I know that you're a hard man. The other verse where this story is told said, I know you are austere man. And this hard meaning here is scaleros. Hard, harsh, rough, stiff, stern, sometimes violent, rough, and offensive, but more so here, harsh, rough, and stern. You notice, of course, you always hear this in this modern day time. He talked too harsh. You hear this, I don't like his delivery. These people would hate the Lord then, because he's describing himself as an austere man, as a harsh, stern man. Remember, austere by definition means rigorously self-disciplined and uncompromising. And I'm here to tell you, because that's what they teach men. Compromise. As a man, you should never compromise on nothing. Either it's going to be what you want or it's not going to be what you want. But you don't compromise on nothing. There's no need to compromise. You can consider, but at the end of the day, it's what you want to do. Because the minute you begin to compromise to those under your charge, to yield to their will, you no longer have power to rule over anyone. See, people tell you that people in power compromise, but study people in power through the course of history and see how many times they compromised and they remained in power after the fact. See, when they're doing what they tell you the compromise is to yield to somebody to give them what they want, even if you do not agree that this is the best course of action, but you're supposed to be the one in charge. If they don't like it, they can leave. It's really that simple. If you don't like the direction of the ship, get off the boat. Because you can't tell the captain how to steer the boat and ride in the boat at the same time and then expect the benefits of the captain while he's steering the boat. You think who are going to compromise with you? Do you think this man going to sit down and compromise with you? He's not. So as a man, you should not compromise. That's teaching to weaken your ability to lead and direct by giving people what they want, because people know when you're compromising, you are giving in to something that they know that you did not want to do. Why would they respect your authority after that? They're not going to. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And see, when you stand up as a man and you do these things, and people gonna call you see, I'm proud. I know I'm one. I don't care. I never care. I don't care. I don't care. I've told you, I don't care if you like me. Why do I care? Why do I care about people liking me for? What does that do for me? What is people liking me? What is that going to do for me? Is that going to further my cause and my aim? And is my life going to be drastically different if more people like me? I don't give a damn. It means absolutely nothing to me. Because my validation I've not given my power over to another person to be able to dictate how I feel about myself based on how they feel about me. It is irrelevant to me. So it should be irrelevant to you. You should not care. But see, remember, I told you this here. If you want to make everybody happy, sell ice cream. Because if you're going to lead, you're not going to make everybody happy. Most of the time when a woman kicks and fights, it's because she don't trust your leadership, because she really feel like she could do a better job. And if she feel like she can do a better job, let her lead herself. Because you're not going to get the benefit of my resources and my direction and then think that you're going to tell me what you're going to do. Because if you want to do what you want to do, you can go and you can take care of yourself. Because we all know that most women don't want to take care of themselves. But guess what? You don't want to take care of yourself. That's why you come to Yahuwah, because he told you, humble yourselves under his mighty hand and he'll lift you up, because he cares for you. So you know that he going to take care of you. That's why you come to him, because you don't want to take care of yourself. But see, that's another conversation. Why you thought that was just talking about on the natural side. You know you don't want to take care of yourself. That's why you came to Yahuwah. But guess what? He said he resists the proud. He ain't gonna take care of no proud nigga. Would you want to take care of your children if they dealt with you in a proud fashion? So then and I'm just asking this here because for the women it's a little different, because if the children proud and rude and disrespectful, you don't want to deal with them, so you shouldn't do your husband in the same fashion. If you know you don't want your children dealing with you selfishly, rudely, and in a proud and haughty fashion, then don't deal with your husband like that. Because if you don't want to take care of them niggas, then you should know full well he ain't going to want to take care of you. And as the text tells you, that's not going to be profitable for you. If you vex and you anger and you frustrate, because we seen that with Moses. That's where that come from. That wasn't profitable to the people. The people didn't get a gain because they were vexing his soul. They didn't see that because what did all they care about? We've been in this wilderness, man. He brought us out here to die. If you notice how your forefathers acted in the wilderness, it was complete selfishness. It was complete selfishness. They didn't, and it wasn't that they cared about the people as a whole. They cared about themselves. They didn't care about them kids. They didn't care about the man standing next to them. They didn't care about the woman around the corner. They only cared about themselves. And selfishness is the cancer to any organization. Nothing can exist in a locker room of selfishness. If you have selfish people on the team, you got to get rid of them. Well, you see that in sports all the time. They got selfish players, they get rid of them. The reason why they got to go because it's cantankerous and cancerous to team morale. Because that junk spreads. They'll seek to spread that selfishness in everybody else. And you can't come together as a cohesive unit. When you think, I've told you this before, we talk about this every time somebody get baptized in that Job. The souls stick together, there's no air that can get in between them. The minute you go to try to separate is the minute that Satan enters in and it's over. I've been telling you that for years. Because what does the text tell you to do? The text tell you stick together. Ain't that what the word tell you to do? The word tell you stick together. The minute you go to doing like this here, Satan gonna get in the midst. He gonna work chaos. That's what he do. He looking for separation. But we don't be believing it till it happens. Get what happened? When Yahushua got separated from his apostles, what happened? Pure chaos. But I don't know nothing. I didn't know what the word say. You can do what you want to. 25 and 24. Then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I know you are a hard man, reaping what you have not sown, gathering what you have not strawed. And I was afraid and wouldn't hid your talent in the earth. There you have, that is yours. His Lord answered and said unto him, you wicked and slothful servant. You know that I reap where I sowed not and gather where I have not strawed. You ought therefore have put my money to the exchangers, And then at my coming, I should have received mine with usury. Take therefore the talent from him and give it unto him which have 10 talents. And for to everyone that have shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that have not shall be taken away, even that which he have. And cast you unprofitable servant into outer darkness, and there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. When the Son of Man shall come in his throne. Okay, we don't need that. Look at what he told him, right? That man said, you wicked and unprofitable, you ought to die. So what does that let us be to understand something? The woman is a servant. That's her job. You know what I'm saying? You are the woman. You are a servant. That's your job. What does the law say? Don't rule over the sons of Yasharal with rigor. They are my servants. So the woman is a servant. So you think you just see, if you're focusing on your wife, you're going to be focusing on the wrong thing. You understand what I'm telling you? So you are his servants. And if you are unprofitable, that man deems you as being evil and disagreeable. Because who are you supposed to be profitable to? Your husband. See, if he's going to be profitable to you, you're supposed to be profitable to him. See, in this world, we hear this reciprocate thing all the time, but nobody actually wants to do it. See, they feel like they're reciprocating with the man by giving him sexual pleasure. You're not giving him anything because that's not special. You've given it to someone else. If you had never given it to another man, then you might have had an argument. But the fact that you've given your body to another man, you're not giving him anything that is special. You're not giving a man anything special because you cook and clean. That's a part of service. That does not profit him. Well, again, we talk about this numerous occasions. When you read about that virtuous woman, that woman was profiting her husband. She was looking at ways of where she could be profitable to him. Not profitable to herself, profitable to him. So when you come to the Lord, you're supposed to be figuring out, how can I be profitable to him and not how he can be profitable to me? See, when you go to looking at how he can be profitable to me, you are a selfish individual, and you will never receive the things of Elohim because you don't have the heart for Elohim, because all you're looking at is how you can benefit. You're not fit to be in the kingdom because you wouldn't be allow him to rule and reign over you, because everything you do would be conditional. I'll do this under the condition that or you're only going to do something just enough to get what you want. That is evil. And there's no way around that. That is evil. There's no righteousness. There's no goodness in any of that. So, but when you have the mind of, I know that I'm getting this from Yahuwah, what can I give unto? When you look at when you look at, say, that woman who cast her last mite into the box. Let's go around that too. Go to the book of Luke. Remember what I told you. Luke 21 and 1. And he looked up and saw the rich man casting their gifts into the treasury. He saw also a certain poor widow casting in thither 2 mites. He said, of a truth I say unto you, this poor widow hath cast in more than they all. For all these have of their abundance cast into the offerings of Elohim. But she of her penury have cast in all the living that she had. Now, he's not disparaging the men who had more and had the ability to give more. But you got to look at a just weight and a just balance. They had the abundance. They had that to give. That woman gave everything that she had. Why did she give everything that she had? Because she was looking at, it is more profitable for me to serve and give unto him and not worrying about what he can give unto her. Because she already know if she give him all that she has, that he gonna give her all that she needs. See, we don't look at it that way. She gave all that she had. He gonna give her everything that she needs. See, this is the disconnect that people have of serving Yahuwah. That's why he said, you ask and you receive not, because you ask amiss, because you ask to consume it upon your lust. He ain't gonna give it to you. That woman gave everything that she had. See, most women don't give everything that they have. And see, again, I ain't talking about no natural woman exclusively. No, people don't give everything that they have to Yahuwah. That's why they don't get nothing from it. You only giving just enough to get what you want from him. She didn't have no thought of herself when she did this. She only had, because they're giving the offering of Elohim, are they not? So this is a free will offering, a voluntary offering. That means she gave that from the heart. Meaning she gave I'm giving all I got to my God because he's important to me, of how I can be useful and beneficial to him. And why can she have that thought? Take no thought for your life. What you gonna wear and what you gonna put on, because he already know he gonna give me what I need and then some. See, if you know, that's when you have to sit back and know and not being selfish and know who you're dealing with. See, we don't know who we're dealing with when we're dealing with Yahuwah. That's why you got the doubt. See, I talked to y'all about that other day. See, the doubt is the killer of love. Love can't exist where doubt resides. Because you're going to have fear, and that fear going to bother you, and it's not going to cause you to trust fully in this individual because you doubt. But most of the time, what are we doubting at? Through selfish inclinations. Any one of us who ever had an opportunity where you doubted, began to doubt Yahuwah, you was only doubting him for something selfishly that you wanted. Doubting that he could perform something that you wanted. You didn't doubt that he was Elohim. You didn't doubt that he had power. You didn't even necessarily doubt if his word true. You were doubting because it was something you wanted and you didn't get it when you wanted it. Then you began to doubt, and that caused to erode the trust. Doubt can't reside where love lives. It'll get up and move. But again, we talking about his substance not being hid. That man's body ain't hid in that grave. How do we know this? Let's turn back to Psalm 139. Man, let me tell you, and I told y'all this last week, and it's been a while since I had told you. I'm gonna tell you, man, Yahuwah faithful, man. Yahuwah come through in the clutch. That is undeniable and undisputable. It's undisputable. But him coming through in the clutch, he come through in the clutch sometimes just to show you. Remember, he said he shined the light on the just and the unjust, on the thankful and the evil. But the one thing, what he showed you that he could show you that he could come through, it's nothing is light. But the question is, are you going to give all of yourself? Most of the stuff that we should do, we don't do because we don't want to. And why is it that we don't want to? Because you're not invested. You're not invested in the success of the outcome. And when you're not invested in the success of the outcome, then you're not going to get what you desire, which is a kingdom. How do you expect to receive a kingdom if you're not invested in the building of the kingdom? Pause. What does Proverbs 14:1 tell you? A wise woman builds a house, a foolish woman plucks it down. Now, we got all our people sitting here arguing and fighting all day, every day about the black man is this, the black woman's that, the community is this, the community is that. And at the end of the day, I ain't talking about no natural woman because we ain't got no wise women out here building no house. And again, I ain't talking about no natural woman. You ain't got no wise men out here building no house because he say, man, unless you build the house by Yahuwah, the builders build in vain. And everything we ain't doing it by Yahuwah, so it's for nothing. So we the foolish woman because we steady plucking down the house. Man, I'm not finna don't be sitting around here blaming no woman for your problems, nigga. That's some whole stuff. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got no problems because of no woman. You got some problems because of the woman you chose. So either get rid of her or cause her to adjust her conduct. That's it. I've been told you that, man. I told you that red pill, man, these niggas be sitting around here crying by a hoe. Crying by a hoe for what? You know why niggas be crying by hoes? Because they dealing with hoes. You're dealing with wicked women. What do you expect? What do you expect from wicked women? You should expect wickedness. What do you expect from selfish women? You should expect selfishness. That's what you should expect. What should you expect from a godly woman? Prayerfully, you should expect faithfulness. See, it's more to being a godly woman or cooking dinners and putting on head wraps and skirts. It's a mentality. It's the way that you think. It's the way that you operate. It's the way that you view things. You will not read a single solitary story about any godly woman who was selfish. You ain't gonna read it. And the one time you see a story about a godly woman being selfish, she was cast to be leprous, and Yahuwah told her daddy should have spit in her face. Because her selfishness came up. I want to claim and attention too. We out here too. Psalms 139, man. That verse 15 again. So when we talk about being made in secret, I believe on Wednesday also, which is satur, a covering, a shelter, a hiding place. Let's look at the hiding place. Matthew chapter 28. Is it 20? I'm sorry, 27 and 62. I said 28, but it's 27 and 62. I'm sorry. Now, the next day that followed the day of preparation, the chief priests and Pharisees came together under Pilate, saying, "Sir, we remember that deceiver said while he was yet alive, after 3 days, I will rise again. Command, therefore, that the sepulchre be made sure until the third day, lest his disciples come by night and steal him away, and say unto the people, he is risen from the dead. So the last error shall be worse than the first." Pilate said unto them, "You have a watch, go your way and make it as sure as you can." So they went and made the sepulchre sure, sealing the stone, setting a watch. So we're looking at, right? Because he's made in secret in this place. Who went in the grave with him? Because this is a covering. This is a place. He was made in secret. Now, made is what? Asa. This is a fashion, accomplish, and make. And we talk about this in regards to the first Adam to the second Adam. Now, remember, he's not hid. His substance or his bones is not hid. Say, I lay my life down and I pick it up again. What does Romans 8 say? Let's go on and look at Romans 8 on general principle. I told y'all this before, and I forget the other S. Will might remember, because it's been a while since I mentioned. You could come over here to Romans 8 and 11 if you would. But you know, you need sacrifice, you need service, and you need sanctification. See, when you look at sanctification, that's easy. And it's another S, but I'm forgetting what it is. You know what I'm saying? But these two, the sacrifice and the service, require selflessness. We've already talked about it. There's no selfishness in Mashiach. You can't be in Mashiach and be selfish. See, a lot of women feel like men are selfish because the men get to dictate the terms and conditions of how things go. But baby, that's just a part of leadership. Because see, if you don't like leadership, then you're going to have to deal with the burden of leadership. Which means that you're going to have to be, see, at the end of the day, if you as an adult have never went through and did everything on your own, then you cannot say that you can properly lead. See, when I say do everything on your own, not that your people set you up and left you something behind. See, that's not what I'm talking about. I ain't talking about your people left you an inheritance because they did what they were supposed to do. That means that if you had an issue, that you had to solve it on your own. I ain't saying there's nothing wrong with having no help, but you had to solve it on your own. You had nobody to prop you up. I ain't talking about the struggle stuff. I mean that you had to figure that out and you had to suffer and go without or whatever the case may be in order to get that done. And if you haven't done that, then you're not fit to lead. Because you wouldn't know how to be able to deal with adverse situations and figure them out without somebody being a safety net to catch you in case you made a mistake. See, somebody that has to lead, they're not going to have a safety net to catch them if they make a mistake. That means if they make that mistake, they got to live with that. And see, that's another part that a lot of women don't like to deal with. Well, what if he make a mistake? That's life, baby. Deal with it. Don't sit there and kick him in his behind because he made a mistake or constantly remind him of the fact that he made a mistake, because at that point, you could have steered the ship. And what would you have done? You know what I'm saying? That's what you have to look at. Don't sit back and tell somebody about what they should have done in a situation that you were not in. Well, what would you have done? You looking at him. Well, guess what? He's a flesh and blood individual. He made the best decision based off the information that was in front of him at that time. If it didn't go the way that he wanted it to go, then all he can do is adjust and adapt to the situation and circumstances in front of him and forge on. And if you can't be that pillar of rest that a wife is supposed to be, then get your funky behind out the man's face then. Because don't nobody need all that. Don't nobody want to deal with all that. If you can't play your position, slide. Because I'm telling you, man, because most of y'all got sons. And praise you that y'all fathers are present. Because as a lady, I remember this here, man, my homeboy, old lady, man, they had got pulled over driving a U-Haul. I think I told you this before. It's been a while though. But she was like, the police ain't say nothing to her. They went straight to her sons and went to dealing with them. And when she came back, she looking at me and my homeboy like, I ain't never realized what y'all had to deal with till today. And this son minor, in my opinion, you know what I'm saying? But for her, it opened her eyes to understand that she did not understand the pressures of being a man. Because that's not something that she has to deal with. That's not something that she's ever going to have to deal with. And that's not something that a woman could ever understand and impart to a young man of what it means to be a man and the pressures of being a man. And the things that he has to deal with that most men are not going to discuss. Discuss it for what? What are you going to have to add? What are you going to have to say? You're not going to have much to add to that scenario and to that circumstance. So he has that pressure. He has to figure out how to deal with pressure and perform under pressure and not show under one instance that he was under any amount of pressure. Why do I say that? When you look at Mashiach, that man was under pressure. Did he show you he was under pressure? Absolutely not. He didn't. He showed you he wasn't under pressure because he knew who he was as a man because of who he dwells in and his confidence in him whom he dwells in. And when a man has the confidence of whom he dwells in, then he doesn't feel any pressure. Because see, pressure is self-inflicted. See, I'm going to tell you this here. Stress is self-inflicted. Pardon me for a moment. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I didn't want y'all to understand that there. A man can have utmost confidence when he is confident in who he is and his Elohim. Well, I appreciate that. Okay, humility, faith, service, and sacrifice. I appreciate it. It's been a while. You know my mind bad. I appreciate that, sir. See, and when you have that humility, faith, service, and sacrifice, that means you're going to be, as a man, you're going to be confident. Because I'm telling y'all, pressure and stress is self-inflicted. You put pressure on yourself. You stress yourself. Life don't stress you. You stress yourself. The reason why I say life don't stress you, because you have to learn something. You can't stress over things that you have no control over. If there's something, if you can't do nothing about it, then what's the reason why I have this attitude? It's one, because I learned this through dealing with life of, okay, I'm stressing myself and there's nothing that I can do about that. So what am I going to stress about it? It's going to take care of itself. So I might as well not even lay no, because that's not benefiting me. That's gonna cause me to have a negative interaction with everyone I come across because I'm stressing myself about something that I cannot control. And even if I can control it, now I'm looking at a text and he say, which one of you by taking one thought can add 1 cubit to your stature? So then if I can't even add 1 cubit to my stature by taking thought, no matter how much we think we can mastermind to do this and to do that, then at the end of the day, what am I stressing for? Then when I read the text and the text tell me, don't be anxious for nothing. So then he's telling me not even to worry. So what am I doing that for? It doesn't make sense. Does that mean that I'm moving with a lack of urgency? No, it doesn't. Does that mean that I'm moving with a lack of care? No, it doesn't. But that means that I can be under pressure, so to speak. I can have stresses going on around me and be at peace because the word of Elohim reigns in my heart. Therefore, it can't bring no stress to me. How do we sit back and say the word of Elohim reigning in our heart and you stressed and pressed every doggone day about life? What am I stressed about life for? My stomach is full. There's a roof over my head. There's clothes on my back and the word of Yahuwah in my heart. What am I stressed and pressed for? Make it make sense. You have to ask yourself them questions. Why am I stressed about life? Something that is temporary, that is temporal, that is going to pass away when my mind's supposed to be focused on eternity. Why am I stressed and pressed about temporary things? Ask yourself that question. Stressed for what? Pressed for what? What type of sense does that make? If we say that we the people of the living Elohim and we trust in him and have an expectation of reward from him, that makes no sense. That makes no sense. Man, let me tell you something, man, because I done seen it, man. Man, stress do damage to your body, man. It do damage to your inward parts. That ain't a Yahuwah. Nigga stressing every doggone day, man. Nobody nigga be smoking cigarettes and drinking. And I already done told you how I feel about that there, man. Man, I'm not using no outside substance to deal with life. I used to tell you, man, I was dealing with some real stuff as a kid. I smoke weed because I like to smoke weed. I ain't smoke weed to thinking it's going to make me feel better about this. That's a weak mind. That means I'm trying to escape. Escape for what? I'm a man. I got to face it. Whatever I'm dealing with, I got to face it. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I can't run from it. No matter of substance is going to make the situation, the circumstance dissipate. It's still going to be there when the high gone. So that don't even make no difference. I got to face it. That's the only way that you can get over things and master things is through confrontation. Can't run from it. Can't duck it and hide it. Can't hope it just go away. You got to look it in the face and face it. So we got to look the world in the face and say, I'm going with Yahuwah. You got to look the devil in the face and say, I'm choosing the lamb. You got to look the flesh in the face and say, I'm choosing the spirit. You got to look fear in the face and say, I'm choosing faith. I'm going that way. I'm going to the right-hand side where the lamb reside. That's where I'm going at. You got to look that in the face and make that conscious decision and change your mind and change your thoughts. And your life will get better. Your life don't get better when you think, when you want different results with the same mind. Nigga, that's insanity. Romans 8 and 11. But if the ruach of him that raised up Yahushua from the dead dwell in you, he that raised up Mashiach from the dead shall also quicken your mortal bodies by the ruach that dwell in, by his ruach that dwell in you. Therefore, brethren, we are debtors not to the flesh to live after the flesh. For if you live after the flesh, you shall die. And living after the flesh is not just also living after your lust, but if you're living after the flesh, that means you got the same mind. You don't have a new heart, but mean you're going to live for the world. Which means not only are you going to live for the desires of the flesh are to doubt. The desires of the flesh is to rebel. The desires of the flesh is to separate. The desires of the flesh is to lack trust. All of those things are a part of that. It's bigger than just lusting after sex. It's bigger than just being malicious and malignant. It's not just being violent. You got other elements that enter in. Remember, anything that's not of faith, that's sin. So if you don't feel like Yahuwah is reliable, sound, and faithful, then that's rebellion. Because that's what they did in the garden. They rebelled. Because what they did, it wasn't a faith. That's what made it a sin. Before you get to the direct disobedience, they ain't believe. That's what made it a sin. Because it was always about believing what he say to you. More people don't believe. More people will sit back and be like this here, especially for men. I'll just say everybody. I put it to this because I done told you this before. You're at where Yahuwah wants you to be at. Then we have to look at where he got you at. Are you in a situation where you being destroyed, or are you in a situation where you're destroying? Because see, if you're in a situation where he wants you to be destroyed, then everything that can destroy you is going to come your way. Because remember that you could take that with Asa. Asa didn't want to listen. He said Yahuwah determined to kill him, and everything that he could bring on him to destroy him, destroyed him till he died. Same thing with Azariah when he come in there doing that junk he did in the temple. But when you look at Manasseh, he wasn't trying to destroy Manasseh. See, what he brought to bring upon him was not for his destruction. It was for his elevation. But see, like I say, you can say with Asa or Amaziah, see, those men were destroying. They were destroying. They were coming in a situation and seeking to pluck it down. A foolish woman plucks down her own house. They were destroying their own house. See, you have some people, because if Yahuwah's going to destroy you, he's going to bring things to destroy you. What's the other king name, man? I ain't know what his name is. Jezebel husband. Ahab. When you sit back and you look at Ahab, he brought destruction to Ahab. He brought that to him because he had determined to kill him. You know what I'm saying? Asa was destroying. So this is why Yahuwah said, I'm going to destroy him. So you have to look at that. Yahuwah got you. If Yahuwah got you in a situation and the situation you in is not destroying you, then that's of him. Because he's not going, if he wants you out of here, he's going to put you in a situation where you will be destroyed spiritually. Where you're going to go over here away from him. That's what's going to happen. See, more women don't sit back and look at, he going to get you to where you need to be at spiritually, but you would have to be willing to relinquish. Because see, you think you in control. You think you smarter. You think you know more. That's how the world done told you. Most of us don't know how to be good soldiers because ain't nobody ever asked you to be no soldier. You know what I'm saying? You got to know how to be a good soldier. A woman has to know how to be a good soldier. A man has to know how to be a good soldier when he's in presence of men who are higher ranked than him, even if he got rank where he come from. Paul had rank when he was going from congregation to congregation. When he came amongst the other disciples, that man fell in line. He's amongst other soldiers who have a higher degree than him. He ain't sit back and look at, hey, man, them niggas ain't going to do me like that. I do this stuff over here. That's not the attitude. It's not the attitude. That's where the humility come in at. That's where it comes in at. These are very simple concepts. The service of Yahuwah and life is not difficult. We make it difficult, and we make it difficult because we're selfish. Now, I mentioned that Hebrews 4. Let me go ahead and let me finish this out here in Romans 8 first. For as many as are led by the Ruach of Elohim, they are the sons of Elohim. For you have not received the Ruach of bondage again to fear, but you have received the Ruach of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba. The Ruach itself bear witness with our Ruach. We are the sons of Elohim, and if sons, then heirs. And heirs of Elohim, joint heirs with Mashiach, if so be that we suffer with him, that we might be esteemed with him. That's why you got to be willing. When he talk about his substance not being hid, and we talk about this Wednesday, that's why you got to go in the grave. See, going in the grave is the sign of the humility. Going in the grave is the sign that you want to be renewed and have a new way of thinking. A new attitude, as the song goes. Hebrews chapter 4. I pick it up at verse 1, and I'm going to run it all the way down, since that's what I'm talking about anyway. I'm picking up at verse 1. It ain't going to hurt nobody. What you want, cuz? What you doing, cuz? But you know how to talk. What's up? What's up, then? What you want to fade? You want to fight about it? What's up? You trying to peel from my cap? Yeah. That's what you're trying to do. And you have accomplished that feat. I don't want no trouble, cuz. I don't want no trouble. Hebrews 4:1. Let us therefore fear, lest the promise being left of us entering into his rest, any of you should seem to come short of it. For unto us was the gospel preached as well as unto them, but the word preached did not profit them, not being mixed with the faith in them that heard it. Bring that up back over here, son. Hey. For we which have believed do enter into rest, as he said, as I have sworn in my wrath, if they shall enter into the works were finished from the foundation of the world. For he spake in a certain place of the seventh day on this wise, Elohim did rest the seventh day from all his works. And in this place again, if they shall enter into my rest, therefore that it remains that the some must enter therein, and they to whom it was first preached entered not in because of unbelief. Again, he limited a certain day, saying in David, today, after so long a time, as it said, today, if you will hear his voice, harden not your hearts. If Yahushua, son of Nun, had given them rest, then we have not afterwards have spoken of another day. There remain therefore a rest to the people of Elohim. For he that is entered into his rest, he also have ceased from his own works as Elohim did from his. Let us labor therefore to enter into that rest, lest any man fall after the same example of unbelief. The word Elohim is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing of sunder of soul and ruach, joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. Neither is there any creature that is not manifest in his sight. All things are naked and open unto the eyes of him whom we have to do. See, that's the thing that we don't like to deal with. That's why he can sit back and tell you that what? Your substance, your bones are not hid from him. He see you. Everybody is open and naked to the man whom we have to do with. Hold on one second. Let me see if I want to use this here, man. Let me see if I want to use this here. Come on over here to Psalms 33. We'll pick it up at verse 10. I ain't gonna go all the way through. I done had Psalms 33 on deck for us to slide in here for about a month or so. But I ain't worked my way around that yet. But come to Psalms 33 and 10. We might go around that after we finish this Psalms 139. After Psalms 33, Job 26. Psalms 33 and 10. Matter of fact, make it 8 if you would. Psalms 33 and 8. Let all the earth fear you, who will let all the inhabitants of the world stand in awe of him. For he spake and it was done. And y'all know that because we started our foray in Genesis 1. Yahuwah speaking is done. Let me tell you something, man. I didn't want y'all to resonate. Let that just resonate in your mind for a moment. And when I say resonate, I'm going to put my hat on because I'm going to give you a moment. I want you to just sit back and ponder upon that one more time. For he spake and it was done. He commanded and it stood fast. Now, what the thing say? Selah. So I'm going to just pause. I want you to think about it. Just pause for a moment. Just pause for a moment. Very well. Why do we have to pause on that? Because that's all he got to do. Is speak it and it is accomplished. Once the word, matter of fact, book of Isaiah tells you this. He said his word will not do what? In the book of Isaiah in the 46th chapter, somebody put it in the chat. He said his word will not do what? And I will not move on until somebody tell me what this man said in Isaiah 46 about his word in this chat. I ain't going to move. I got time, cuz. Thank you, Shayla. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Come back void. He said it would accomplish the thing that I sent unto it. It ain't coming back to him void. Said like this here, right? I ain't even had no thoughts of going in the direction that we going in this evening, but I praise Yahuwah in the name of his only begotten son, Yahushua HaMashiach, for every bit of it. And this is the point, because clearly this is the direction we need to go for this evening, that niggas need to start believing. You understand me? I want you to understand that it's all good, baby. He said, for he spake and it was done. He commanded it stood fast. I didn't want y'all to think about it. He said he spake, it was done. Let's look at it in the Hebrew so you can get a full encapsulation of understanding of what that man's saying. Because I wanted to sit dead in your brain. I ain't trying to be funny right now. Nothing. I'm ever so serious. Ever so serious right now. First and foremost, I want you to look at stood fast. This is a word that you know. It is a mod. It stands. It endures. It takes one stand. That means when he speak it, he commanded it, that word is going to endure. That's not stopping. You understand? It's not stopping. Now, when you sit back and you look at for he spake and it was done, now you're looking at it, hayah. Y'all know what that is? Ahai, it exists. When he speaks, things come to life. They exist. They come to pass. Come on, man. Now this got me thinking about what the Lord said in John 14. You know what he said. He said, I tell you these things before they happen, so when they come to pass, you understand that I am he. You understand? Ain't nobody out here got no God like that, man. You understand what I'm telling you? These people ain't got no God who can tell you what's going to happen before it happens, so you know he God. That's why we were talking about that stuff in Isaiah 43 about his witnesses. This man done brought this stuff to pass, so when these men bear witness, you know he God, and you out here doubting. You doubting if you're going to resurrect from the dead. You doubting you're going to get a kingdom. You doubting this man going to feed you. You doubting if he going to clothe you. And for what? And for what? You doubting because of your own selfish inclinations and motivations. And it's embarrassing. And when I say embarrassing, it's embarrassing to yourself. And you know it is. And we all know that we ought to be ashamed. What you doubting the man for? Because you ain't getting what you want when you want it? Maybe it ain't time for you to get it. Maybe you don't deserve it. You know, people out there, I heard a woman on this podcast talk about this the other day. And they were talking about what they deserve. Does anybody know the definition of deserve? Who knows? Because that's the line, I know what I deserve. What do I? Somebody find? I know the definition of deserve. That's why I'm asking all this. I'm talking about the strict dictionary definition. Somebody find the strict dictionary definition of deserve and put it in the chat. The strict dictionary definition of deserve and put it in the chat. Hey! Too much noise. Earn. So how can anybody say they deserve something and you ain't did the work to earn it? So don't nobody really to be worthy of. So to be worthy of, as Monte put in there, that means you had to earn it. See, you're not worthy of anything by existence because guess what? You deserve death. See, we earned that. See, that's where the faith come in at. Because you know I'm worthy of death. I've earned that, but I know my Elohim is compassionate. You've earned that. See, people, but you notice when people say what they deserve, they only say what they deserve when it's congruent to the things that they want. But you've done nothing to actually earn it. You want things, but you ain't. How you won't earn something from you and you don't even believe this man can speak and cause to exist? That you don't know when this man gave an instruction to endure. Hold on, because if he said endure, he gave an instruction that what? He said, and I'm going to make a prophet, Moses, like unto you, and him with the people here. Because what did they say about Mashiach? He talking about rise up. He said Mashiach is supposed to endure forever. That's what the people said about the Lord. They understood that because he commanded it. Because he remembered the word in the beginning with the word. And the word was with Elohim and the word was Elohim. That means, hey, he gave a commandment and it was going to endure. Uh-oh. See, y'all doing that to yourself. Remember, right? That is to do something or have or show qualities worthy of reward or punishment. So to deserve something, that means you have to do something. If you ain't did nothing, then you don't deserve nothing. And what are you supposed to do? Believe on him whom Elohim have sent. That's the work of Elohim. Ain't that what he told him in John chapter 6? That means you would have done something worthy of a reward. That's what that parable of the talents was. The men had did something worthy of a reward, and the other one had not. They were unprofitable and useless. They hadn't done anything. Psalm 33 and 10. That's what the faith without works is dead coming at. If you believe the word and you're going to do something according to that word in order to get said reward because you believe in he who have promised. 33 and 10. Psalms, if you would. Yahuwah bring the counsel of the heathen to nothing. He make the devices of the people of none effect. The counsel of Yahuwah stand forever. The thought of his heart to all generations. Now, counsel. We'll see what word they use here. Should be the regular. And here it is Atzah. His advice, his purpose is forever. That's not changing. That's why the man has to lead, because it's his. This is why I've told you this for years. And I know it sounds harsh, what I'm about to say, but it is what it is. Your husband, 99.9% of the time, don't care about nothing you want to do. And the reason why he don't care about nothing that you want to do, because it's not aligned with his purpose. So he's not invested in that. A lot of women, why he don't encourage me in this, or why? Because he doesn't care. And it's just that he doesn't care in regards to, he doesn't care about you or what you're interested in, but what you're seeking to do is not in line with his purpose. So since it's not aligned with his purpose, he's not going to be invested in that. I'm just telling you something based off the society that we live in. The society that we live in tells men that they need to be invested in their wife's purpose, and the woman does not need to be invested in his. And that is backwards. That is backwards. That is butthole backwards. That makes absolutely no sense, because that's not the way that it's supposed to be. That is dysfunction and disorder. The woman's purpose is to fulfill her husband's purpose. So the things that she do would be in line with fulfilling his purpose. The minute that man begins to be concerned with fulfilling her purpose, he has put himself in a subordinate position, in a submissive position, and he can no longer properly lead and dictate and command that force. Because now he's yielding to make sure he's become the help me. And boy, I'm here to tell you, boy, I ain't nobody's help me, boy. My mama ain't had no daughter. Well, she did have a daughter on the first go around. She ain't had no daughter on the first go around. She had a son. I might not be my father's firstborn son, but I'm my mama's firstborn son. Boy, and I bring my dad into play, but my daddy only had one daughter, boy. He had 4 sons. And boy, so that means that man dropped men and not ladies. I ain't nobody help me, and I ain't finna be nobody help me. You know what I'm talking about? That's right, sir. He becomes compromised. I ain't nobody help me. I ain't saying that out of no arrogance. I ain't saying that out of no disrespect. I'm just saying that what it is. Boy, I ain't nobody help me, boy. Well, I wasn't put here to serve no woman in that particular capacity, and I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. You're going to get on my train, or you can get off the tracks. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what that is. And as a man, you have to live your life like that. You have to view it like that. That is what he made her for, to help you in your labor. You had a labor. You were supposed to be tilling the ground. She was created to help you in your labor of tilling that ground. That's what she was created for. I was not created to help you fulfill your dreams and goals. You want to fulfill your dreams and goals? Stay alone. Because that's what you hear. Well, why the men don't want to do that? That's what dudes say. I put my girl on a billboard. That's that nigga. That's that nigga. If he did that, that's his business. Ain't no dude's going to ridicule him for that. But you can't be running around here expecting every man to do that. Because that's not tangible in reality, especially if he got an overarching vision that he's seeking to work on. Because, and again, I've told you this before, and this is no different than dealing with the word. That's why he say ain't no schisms in the body. That's why he tell you can't climb up some other way. You a thief and a robber. What that woman is doing, she ain't doing it for the family. She's doing it for herself. Any vision that a woman has is not for the family, it's for herself 99.9% of the time. Because you got women who have vision and they think about I'm talking about if she in the household and the husband isn't, go ahead and do this here. That woman very well may, she think about the family, of how what she doing can benefit everyone other than herself. But if you meet a woman who's already doing something, no, that ain't what it is, man. When a man is doing something even before he's met the woman that he gonna marry, that's gonna be for the benefit of the family, because he already thinking about his wife and his kids before he even got them. Because that's what he's building all that for. He ain't building all that for just to build it. He's building it to be able to provide for his progeny, to leave something for his progeny and to provide for his spouse. See, most men, when they come up with a plan, that's a plan for the both of them, not just him. Women don't come up for plans for the both of them. They come up with a plan for her. And that's what men do to Yahuwah. You say, see, we do all this stuff and say we doing it for Yahuwah. You doing that for yourself. And you want to make yourself feel better in your inward parts to say you doing it for the family. But you doing that for yourself. You ain't doing that for the body. You ain't doing that for your brother. You ain't doing that for the sister. You ain't doing that for the poor saint. You doing that for yourself. And lying, talking about you doing it for Yahuwah. Boy, niggas see through that stuff, man. Dudes don't think we see through that stuff, but we see through that stuff, man. You ain't fooling nobody. Because when you doing it for Yahuwah, you doing that to benefit everyone. Not just you, everyone. That's something you got to think about. On the micro level, you understand? I ain't talking about just on the natural level that I just referred to between a man and a woman. I'm talking about on the grander scale. It's what we doing. Is we doing that for you? Because if you're doing it for Yahuwah, then you're doing it for the saints. It's what you doing. Is you doing it for the faithful, or is you doing that for you? Psalm 33, verse 12. Baruch is the nation whose Elohim is Yahuwah, and the people whom he hath chosen for his own inheritance. Yahuwah looked from Shamahim, he behold all the sons of men. From the place of his habitation, he looked upon all the inhabitants of the earth. He fashioned their hearts alike. He considered all their works. Ain't nobody hear from this man. He see every last one of you. 2 Chronicles 16, just because I feel like sharing. Come over here to 2 Chronicles 16 before we go to Job 26, because I just feel like sharing. Just so you know that you can know that he can see. He see what's going on out here. Ain't nothing hid from him. Your bones ain't hid from him. Now, of course, that substance being hid, talking about in the grave. And I told you this already. Revelation 14 and 13. You know what I'm talking about? Baruch is he that die in the Lord from henceforth. His works do follow them. Your bones ain't hid from him, man. His eyes is on everybody that whom he have to do with. Let that be known. 2 Chronicles 16 and 9. For the eyes of Yahuwah run to and fro throughout the whole earth to show himself strong in behalf of them whose heart is perfect towards him. Let that be known. Your substance, your bones you ain't hid from this man. See, I mentioned the part that Adam not being hid from him, because the same way that Adam was not hiding from it in the garden, the same way that Yahushua was buried in the garden, if you know the text, you know the text, his substance, his bones were not hid from him. Because guess what? Even with Adam hiding, when Yahuwah called for him, what Adam did? He answered. See, this is the thing, right? And the reason why I mentioned that. Even with Adam being in error, when Yahuwah called, boy, he answered. So you have to sit back and look at it. Even if you find yourself in error, if Yahuwah called, answer. Don't hide. See, the wicked hide, they're not going to answer. That's why he said, when I called, they did not answer. And when I spake, they did not hear. But they continue to do, because when you're not answering, that means you content on doing the evil. That John do smell like, I did not catch Versace arrows till I read that dude say this smell like Versace arrows. And it does. Job 26 and 1. Just a tad. Just a little difference in it because it got a little spices in it. But,
You got that?
No, I ain't got Medusa in him, man.
Oh, man.
I hold ugly anyway. Job 26 and 1. Versace arrows fire. They got arrows flame. They be bigging that junk up. But I had brought Polo Red because they said that was an alternative. And it was about the same. Because I had a sample of arrows. That's how I smell. Job answered and said, how have you helped him that is without power? How save you the arm that have no strength? Uh-oh. He talking to his friends. He said, how have you helped him that is without power? Uh-oh. You all know what help is. That's a czar. That's an aid, help, and a relief. That's the circler. Now, what do y'all think that could mean? Listen to verse 3 now. Maybe that'll help you out. How have you counseled him that have no wisdom? How have you plentifully declared the thing as it is? To whom have you uttered words, and whose ruach came from you? Uh-oh. Dead things are formed from under the water, and the inhabitants thereof. Hell is naked before him, and destruction have no covering. He stretched out the north over the empty place and hang the earth upon nothing. He bind up the waters in his thick clouds, and the cloud is not rent under them. He hold back the face of his throne and spread his cloud upon it. He have compassed the waters with bounds until the day and night come to an end. The pillars of Shamahim tremble and are astonished at his reproof. He divide the sea with his power, and by his understanding he smite the proud. And by his ruach he have garnished the heavens. His hand have formed the crooked serpent. Lo, these are part of his ways, but how little a portion is heard of him. But the thunder of his power, who can understand? Now, there's a lot to go through there, and we're going to go all up and through there because we got time. And before I get to the most obvious things, verse 9, he hold back the face of his throne and spread his clouds upon it. Scriptural answers only. Who can tell me what that means? I'm only asking you this because we just went over this in a particular fashion. That's the only reason why I'm asking. I'm trying to see if it come back to memory for you. I thank the Lord. One thing about it and two things for sure. Yahuwah is the greatest. There is none who can compare. There's no need for you to fret. There's no need for you to fear. Ain't no need for nothing if you're running with the Lamb, man. There ain't no need for all that. You don't need to live your life like that. Not to say you serve Yahuwah for what? We supposed to be living with confidence, man. And we don't be out here living with it. We don't be out here living with it. We be out here dead capping. And we be knowing it too. We be knowing it. What does that verse mean? We just went over this. That's why I'm asking. You just went over this. That's why I'm asking. I'm giving you some time because I got plenty of time, cuz I'll wait you out. I promise I will. The verse, he hold back the face of his throne and spread his cloud upon it. Come on, this easy, man. Y'all supposed to dog walk that. A cause, grasp, take hold, seize, take possession. That is the hold back. That is the he hold back. A cause, to be caught, to be grasped, to be settled, to enclose, to overlay, to fasten. So he fastens his throne. Face is panim. You know what throne is? Kaseh. Spread is parzez. To spread it. Verbally, if you would. Y'all know what cloud is. Anon, literal cloud. What did this mean? This is easy, man. We just went through this too. But even if we didn't went through this here, y'all should know that. That's easy. This is easy. Come on, man. I'll put my hat on nothing. I don't even know what Roman number this is, but we going to whatever Super Bowl this is. I'm putting my hat on for this one, man.
It's not what we were talking about in Jeremiah.
I don't know what was in Jeremiah. I don't know.
At least context.
Yeah. You thought you was slick. I seen what you were doing. You tried. I appreciate the attempt. Oh, y'all ain't gonna say nothing. Oh, I'm gonna sit here. Well, I'll cut this cream off, boy. Save it for tomorrow. I ain't playing. Ooh, woo. These boys around here like, man, shoot, nigga, I ain't answering that question. Somebody gonna give me something. I don't care if it's wrong. Somebody gonna give me something. Well, that verse, the verse, he hold back the face of his throne and spread his clouds upon it. Ark of the Covenant is a very broad answer. I don't know what that means. That would be Job 26:9. He hold back the face of his throne and spread his cloud upon it. Now, again, that's why I mentioned what it is, that hakaz, that hold back. It's not mean hold back. It means to grasp, to take hold, to seize, to take possession, to be caught, to be grasped, to enclose, to overlay, or to fasten. It means to take possession. He takes possession of his throne and spreads the cloud upon it. That's why I led with the akaz. That's why sometimes y'all got to look that stuff up, so you see what it means. Y'all know better than to take certain stuff at face value and the bastardized language of which you speak. What does that mean? He places his presence in the midst of the people. It's close to that scenario. Like I said, the only reason why I'm really asking this here is because we just went over this in-depthly, probably about a month ago. And we went over and you know where the inspiration came from? I would say inspiration comes from a lot of things. Me reading Sunday Little Muffin. And then reading Sunday Little Muffin caused my brain to spark. And I went through it the same fashion with y'all that I did with her. I did with y'all. It came to my mind. So therefore I did it. But what is he seizing his throne and spreading a cloud upon it? What should have came to your mind was Ezekiel chapter 1 that we just read about. What should have came to your mind is the third heaven, because he's coming in the clouds or coming in the heavens. And they say, hide us from the face of him that sit upon the throne. Do you recall, or do we need to read that in Ezekiel chapter 1? We're not going to read the Revelation 6, but do you recall Ezekiel chapter 1? Do you recall that was said? Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, see, what you looking at is a little different. What you reading in Revelation 20, but we will allow it because it's the same concept. That's the day of judgment, the judgment in Revelation 20. So we will allow it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's the same difference. So I saw a great white throne and him that sat on it, and the face of the earth and heaven fled away, because that's what you're seeing right here. But also you see him coming on a throne when he returns. Let's look at Ezekiel chapter 1, because people forgot, I see. But that's a good find on the Revelation 20, though, sir. It is acceptable and allowable. Look at this Ezekiel 1. Let's look at this Ezekiel 1. Look at what he said right here, right? Where we at? Boom, 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 boom. Verse 26. And above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of sapphire stone. Upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness as the appearance of a man above upon it. I saw as the color of amber, as the appearance of fire round about within it, from the appearance of his loins even upward, from the appearance of his loins even downward. I saw it was the appearance of fire, and it had brightness round about. As the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the day of rain, so was the appearance of the brightness round about. This was the appearance of the likeness of the esteem of Yahuwah. When I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard a voice of one that spake. He said he saw a likeness, right? Remember, he's seizing his throne. Remember what it said in Revelation 11. The nations are mad because their kingdoms be overthrown, because the kingdoms have become who? Yahuwah's and his anointed. He come back with a crown. He's seizing the throne, and his throne is coming upon the clouds or in heavens, because the dominion of heaven is coming upon the earth. Remember that. The dominion of heaven is coming upon the earth, which takes us back to the parable in Matthew 25. Are you going to have talents to give him because you showed yourself to be profitable and useful to your Lord and the building of his kingdom? See, that's why I said that. That's why women don't build kingdoms. They dwell in them. They dwell in them. When you're dealing with Yasharal, that is the only time where you see, because the body is the woman and the woman is the man, the men of Yasharal, they build the kingdom. A woman's job is to assist and facilitate the building of a kingdom. Women do not build kingdoms. You do not have in recorded human history any woman building a sustainable kingdom. You don't have it. And you know why you don't have it? Because you need one ugly, sustainable truth to build a kingdom that nobody likes to discuss. And what is that sustainable truth that you need to be the kingdom, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters? What is that one thing that you're going to have to do to build a kingdom? What would you say, sir?
Leadership.
You say leadership. What would you say, ma'am? You say sacrifice, and both of those are acceptable answers, not the one that I'm referring to. Because when I think I've neglected to say, I'm talking about an ugly, sustainable truth that needs to be done. That's my apologies. An ugly, sustainable truth that needs to be done to build the kingdom that people do not like to talk about. What would that be? What'd you say? Absolutely, war. There is no kingdom that has ever been built where war was not waged. You got to wage war to build a kingdom. See, that's the ugly truth that don't nobody like to have a conversation about. Because guess what? The kingdom of Yasharal was not built without the shedding of blood. What did he tell David why he couldn't build the house of Yahuwah? He was a bloody man. He said, you fought the wars of Yahuwah. He fought wars so Solomon could be a man of rest. When they came into the land, you think they just walked in the land of Canaan, they gave it to them? They waged wars to get into that land and get it. Now, why am I mentioning that? Because even when you look at it, what does the text tell you? It's spiritual warfare. He told you to what? Take your armor, take your sword, take your shield. He said we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but spiritual wickedness in high places. It's a war. Mashiach even told you that. It's a war. It's a war that's raised to build a kingdom. He said the kingdom of heaven, he said the law was preached until John. Now the kingdom is preached and the kingdom suffers violence and every man presseth into it. That means there's a war going on. That's right. It's taken by violence. So when you're talking about taken by violence, that cancel out women because women ain't gonna war. One thing I've known my entire life, man, a woman ain't no threat. Ain't no group of men walking the earth worried about being threatened by a woman except for black men. You the only one see a woman as a threat. That means you've allowed a woman to cause you to doubt your masculinity so much that you think she can topple and defeat you. Nigga, you need to tighten up. Ain't no woman no threat. That ain't no disrespect to no woman, man. You think some Asian dudes sitting around here walking about they worrying about black or white women? We told you this before. You see this in the text. Did they ever seek to kill little female Hebrew babies? You see it twice in the text. They say, kill all the males. Kill all the males. Kill all the males. There's no systematic war against black women to kill them. The only thing they systematically warn against black women with is for their reproductive abilities. Because if they can find you to be worthless to reproduce with, that either cause them to cause the men to reproduce with other women, therefore diluting his gene pool, or he won't reproduce at all. Because they're worried about the men. Men build kingdoms because men wage war. And you got to be willing to pick up the sword of the Ruach and wage and go into battle and build that kingdom. And most people, they're not willing to do it. See, women, they want to get out there on that front line till they see somebody's head get blown off. Till you see somebody's arm get shot off. Till you see a man leaking and you see his soul depart from his body and his eyes go still and the lights go out. Nigga, that's hard for a man to swallow. And you know an emotional creature, that's 3 times as hard. See, when you see women, they cover the word, it upset them when they see dudes can't, you know what I'm saying? They don't want to accept the word and they see somebody, well, shoot, let them go to hell then. How can you say that? And that's why you see a lot of men like that, because you got a woman's spirit. You trying to nurture and save everybody versus understanding that this man made a conscious decision and choice to reject salvation. Let that nigga stew in it. Care nothing about this nigga. I already gave my effort and he deemed himself to be unworthy. What I look like trying to make somebody want to live and do right? Nigga, bump that nigga. I'm moving on to the next. That's hard for women to understand because they're caring creatures. I don't want to see nothing negative happen to you. I don't want to see this happen to you. We have to save this person. That's why they don't put women in charge of life and death decisions, because she's not going to make the decision. Because she's going to try to figure out a way to save both. Well, a man to make the decision was, shoot, we're going to have to let Billy die. That's all. And guess what? That ain't no hard choice for him to make. I mean, an easy choice for him to make, but he got to make it. What he told his apostles, if they won't hear your witness, dust your feet off and go on your way. He said, if my peace be in there, let your peace fall upon thy house. But if it's not, you go ahead and you leave. Don't you go around there fooling with them people. You go about your business. I'm just telling you, that's what you need to build a kingdom. You got to wage war. Brother Brown just hit the nail on the head. Come on to Luke 11. We'll read it because I feel like it. Thank the Lord. To be willing to wage war, man. Everybody ain't willing to do that. War is violent. Is it Luke 11? I'm thinking about Matthew 11. I said Luke 11. It's Matthew 11. My bad, y'all. That's my bad, y'all. It's Matthew 11, not Luke 11. My apologies. My apologies. We can read it in both spots because it is another one in Luke that is factual in the matter. Luke chapter 11, though. I pick 11 on the house. After that, we'll go to Luke 16. And as they departed, Yahushua began to say unto the multitudes concerning John, what went you out to the wilderness to see? A reed shaken with the wind? But what you went for out to see? A man clothed in soft raiment? Behold, they that wear soft are in kings' houses, because the clothing isn't there. But what went you out for to see? A prophet? Yea, I say unto you more than a prophet. For this is he of whom it is written, behold, I send my messenger before your face, which shall prepare your way before you. Truly I say unto you, among them that are born of women, there have not risen a greater than John the Baptist. Notwithstanding, he that is least in the kingdom of Shamahim is greater than he. And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of Shamahim suffer violence. Listen what he say. The dominion and rule of heaven suffers violence. Do you understand that? Those who represent and propagate and administrate and delegate the dominion of heaven suffer violence. That is what is going to befall them. He say, and the violent take it by force. What are they trying to take? The dominion and rule of heaven. They're trying to take that by force. For the prophets and the law prophesied until John. Come over to Luke 16. I didn't want you to know that now. That means there's a war going on. That means there's a war being fought. Because somebody's trying to keep a kingdom and somebody trying to build a kingdom. You ain't gonna find no women on that battlefield right there, man. It get bloody out there, man. They need to be at the house. They need to be at the house. 16, Luke. Make it 7. Luke 16 and 7. Then he said to another, how much owe you? He said 100 measures of wheat. He said unto him, take your bill and write for a score. And the Lord commanded the unjust steward because he had done wisely. For the sons of this world are in their generation wiser than the sons of light. I say unto you, make yourself the friends of mammon of unrighteousness, that when you fail, that they may receive you into everlasting habitations. He that is faithful in that which is least, he is faithful also in much. He that is unjust in the least is unjust and also in much. If therefore you have not been faithful in the unrighteous mammon, who will commit to your trust the true riches? And if you have not been faithful in that which is another man's, who shall give you that which is your own? No servant can serve two masters, for he either hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve Elohim and mammon. Now, one thing you have to sit back and look at the root of everything that particular passage is talking about is you can't be selfish and serve God at the end of the day. You can't be selfish and serve God. When you strip away the stuff about the money and all this other stuff and you get to the root is you can't be proud and selfish and serve Elohim. You can't do it. Because you know why? Because you're going to cleave to your selfish desires versus sacrificing and being a selfless servant to Elohim. See, you're going to cleave to building your kingdom and not building your husband's kingdom. See, you can't do it. Can't do it. Because you're going to love one or hate the other. You're going to love yourself more than you love. See, you're going to love him. You're going to hate your husband. You're going to love yourself, and hate your husband. That ain't going to work, baby. You're going to lose. That's the thing. You're going to lose. When you ain't got Yahuwah, baby, you're going to lose. You're not going to win. You're going to lose. You know, this is one of the reasons. Look here, right? You know what? I'm going to just keep that one there to myself. Because I was finna tell you what was in Corinthians, which is one of the because I tell you, when one of the reasons, man, I first started dealing with this word, man, I'm like, I ain't even worried about having no wife, just for the simple reason of, boy, I'm gonna be out here in these streets with this word, man. And when this man sit back and say you gotta forsake wives and all this stuff, I'm like, they say you don't want to look no woman in the face and be like, shoot, I gotta go preach the gospel, baby. So I don't know what to tell you, and not on what to tell you like you out here by yourself, but I can't give you the level of commitment that I know a woman is going to want to desire because this comes first. Most people can't understand that. And then I told y'all this in the past. Most people can't understand that because you're looking at regular preachers and that don't come first for them. Guest speakers, vacations, and all this, that, there, and the third, where they preach when they want to. That's not a commitment. That's why people sit back and say, because you're looking at love as an emotion, love is a commitment. That is a commitment. And most people are not committed to love because love never fails. That's what the text say. And when you look at when we say love never fails, all of those things are a commitment. That's a committed action. And most people are not committed because when you commit to something, that means you're giving away of self for the greater goal, for the greater cause. That means you're relinquishing your own self. Because see, again, most people look at it, well, how is it selfish if it's your purpose and your will? Because my purpose and will is not just for me. So that is already eliminated. You're benefiting off of my purpose and vision. Therefore, my purpose and vision cannot be selfishly motivated when I'm purposely moving in a framework to be able to benefit those under my charge. That's what we don't understand when you come into Yahuwah, because people are, why Yahuwah got to have it? Because his vision is to benefit you, but you can't see that because you blinded by self, which is why you have to have a new heart and a new spirit, which is why your substance is not hid from him when he was curiously worked in the secret parts of the earth. And just to bring back to your memory, because see, the back end of Psalms 139 is dealing with his enemies. And that's a quick conversation. I'm not really trying to focus on him whacking his enemies because we talk about the resurrection of the dead and faith. That's a quick, when we hit that, move on our way. This man talking about whacking his enemies, man. I don't even think a lot of people understand what it means to say, I hate them that hate you. See, most people don't even have that attitude that they hate people who hate Yahuwah. Because they think when you sit back and you hate them that hate Yahuwah, that you walk around here with some type of elitist and negative attitude. No, it ain't all that there, baby. You know what I'm talking about? Because guess what? He say, you know what? Be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. He say, you know what? What good is it for you to do this here for your brother? He say, don't sin us the same so I can show the same mercy and compassion on you because I'm trying to heap coals of fire on your head, whole nigga. You wicked bastard Jew. This is what we're talking about changing your mind, because then you begin to look at situations and circumstances and you're not looking at them through the lens of your own heart and your own thoughts. You're looking at it from the lens of the word. Therefore, your thought process and movement is drastically different. I ain't talking about throwing no verses at nobody. I'm talking about looking at it and assessing and analyzing. I view this situation and circumstance like this because of this. So therefore, because of that, I'm going to speak, move, and do like this. Because of this, I understand why. Remember what that Psalm 55 said? He said, I was angry, I was envious at the wicked till I went into the house of Elohim and I understood their end. Man, I ain't worried about no Joe Biden. I ain't worried about no Rick. I already know what these people end gonna be. So that's not a concern for me. I ain't thinking about them. That's why I've been telling you, if you don't care nothing about what them people doing, man, for what? I already know what their end gonna be. So there's no need for me to be concerned with them. You need to be concerned with the souls that need deliverance, that need to hear the gospel of reconciliation and elevation to salvation, that they might live. We can't be around here worrying about talking about these wicked people, these people doing this. I ain't got no time for them niggas. The reason why I say that, because I'm not in their face dropping no word on them like Jeremiah did. Because then that would be different. That means he sent me on a mission to go ahead and give them that good old straightening that they desire. Not that they deserve, I say that they desire. Because they desire a good old straightening. They want to be straightened by that word. They know they do. It testifies in their spirit every day. They just don't know it. John the Baptist, he sent them to them people in power, and he straightened them people. Well, everybody don't have that mission. So therefore, if that's not my mission, I don't care about them people. Put it to you this way, right? You got everybody that NWO coming. Nigga, what's the good of talking about something you can't stop? What's the good of talking about something you can't stop? We got to prepare ourselves against the NWO. Yeah, believe in Yahuwah, nigga. That's all the preparation you need. What more preparation you need? You ain't preparing your soul, but you preparing a stockpile of food and weapons. What type of stupidity is that? That you putting that as the precedent. Not that you stupid for getting food and weapons, but that you putting that before preparing your soul. That's what makes it stupid. Not because you get all the guns and ammo you want. Get all the vacuum, dry food, canned goods that you need. But before you do all that, you got to prepare your soul. Ain't that what Lil Johnny say? You know what I'm saying? You want to get the bag. He said you better get that. What Lil Johnny told. That was Lil Johnny told. Let me finish in Luke 16, verse 14, man. The Pharisees also, who were covetous, heard all these things and derided them. Because again, when you're covetous, what does that mean? You're selfish. When you're selfish. He said unto them, you are they which justify yourselves before men. Elohim know your hearts, for that which is highly esteemed among men is an abomination in the sight of Elohim. The law and the prophets were until John. Since that time, the kingdom of Elohim is preached, and every man press into it. The rule and dominion of Elohim being preached now, everybody got to come into that, baby. And that's the bottom line, because Yahushua said so. Let's come over here to 26, man. 26 and 10, man. Good old Job. I get back to the top part in the beginning. I didn't want to work out the bottom part. I'll end with the back part of he hate his enemies in Psalms 139. And Yahuwah willing, we'll be out here because y'all know we getting close. That's why, like I said, I ain't got to rush nothing, because praise Yahuwah. You know, we got trumpets coming, then atonement coming, and then the 8-piece coming. With a double up on the Sabbath, the Saturday Sabbath. You know what I'm talking about? Because you know there's going to be a service that Saturday night on top of that regular afternoon. So I ain't got to rush nothing, because the trap finna be open. Well, the trap always open. You know what I'm talking about? But it's finna be really, really open. You know, the trap don't never close. Only close when I'm sleeping. You know what I'm saying? Outside of that, trap be open, man. You know what I'm talking about? That's one thing. I hustle like that in real life, too. Like, there ain't no cap. Please, just like I said, there ain't no cap. I hustle like that in real life, too, boy. I ain't never closed the door out. Shoot, you, man, shoot. We have guests anytime, Brother Brown Boy. Shoot, Brother Brown Boy, you know, you welcome to come through anytime. All you got to do is let me know when you're coming. We always have guests, man, no matter what. But especially for you, Brother Brown, I'm talking about specific. You come through anytime, man. You just let me know when you come. You know what I'm saying? I'll send you my phone number, because we friends on the book, man. I send you my phone number, man. You come through anytime. You already know it's all love down these parts. But I go for any of y'all on here. You trying to come through. Shoot, man. My number, 904-401-9912. Amen, Brother Brown. Amen. Put it in here. You trying to come through. This all you got to do. All you got to do is hit my line, man. You ain't said nothing. But I understand why you asked that, because I know some people be acting funny about that type of stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I ain't on that. That's not the word of Yahuwah. Yeah, I ain't on that. That's not the word of Yahuwah. Ain't no, oh, you know, y'all, we ain't having no get. See, the reason why I say this here, and I understand why you mention it like this here, But I'm just going to give y'all my perspective. There's no such thing as guests. You are a guest because, okay, you coming in to our home, so to speak. But if we say that we in the body of Mashiach, then you would be my brother and my sister. So how could I look at you and say you a guest? Would you be a guest technically because you entering into my home? Yes, in the natural sense, yes. But I'm looking at it text-wise. I can't somebody say, can you have visitors or do y'all accept visitors or guests? Because how could my brother be a guest? How could my brother be a visitor? That makes no sense to me. When I look at the text, that makes no sense to me. Do I understand what other assemblies and whatnot do that? I do. I'm not begrudging or besmirching anyone in that regard. But for me, there is no such thing as a guest or visitor. Because I've been telling you this here, man. Somebody in the faith is you. Hey, man, you roll with them. You ain't got to know them people. You ain't got to know them people. That's not the way of Elohim, boy. I don't vibe with none of that. Like I told you that when brother was like, yeah, boy, you got to be part of congregations to get baptized. I'm like, I don't agree with none of that. I don't agree with none of that. You know what I'm saying? That's just not what it is. But I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna leave that where that's at. Let's look here, right. So 26 and 10. He have compassed the waters with bounds until the day and night come to an end. Well, what does this mean, compassing the waters with bounds? So, you know, when we have waters here, you have the face of the waters. So when we're looking at the face of the waters, what is he talking about? Well, you know, if he's talking about the firmament, if he's talking about the firmament, that means that he's going to crack them. Why is he cracking them? Because I seen New Jerusalem coming down from Shamahim. Is that not what it says? So when he's looking at the bounds, of course, that is the statute or the ordinance. Because what does the text tell you? That's what you hear from many flat earthers. What do they tell you? You can't get through the firmament. But what did we just read? He's going to take possession of his throne and set it on a cloud. And you just seen that in the Ezekiel chapter 1. That's why he say the pillars of the heavens tremble and are astonished at his reproof, because he causes the shaking, the dividing of the sea with his power. We read about that the other day in Isaiah 11, that he gonna split the sea for you to walk through dry shod. Then you turn around and you're looking at by his understanding, he's going to smite the proud, because Mashiach has been made unto you understanding. And when you got proud, you have Rahab, the name for not only for those who are proud, but also a name for Egypt, and also a name for a mythical sea monster, aka that serpent who were coming up out of the sea. But that is a whole nother matter. He say his ruach have garnished the heavens, his hand have formed the crooked serpent. When we look at serpent, of course, you know you have Nakash, that is the serpent or the snake. His hand formed it. How is the serpent crooked? Well, what is crooked? Crooked is barakah, and that is something that is a fugitive. We know Satan is a fugitive. He's a fugitive from justice. Because he knows he was a Malachim in heaven, Yahuwah formed him, and he gonna smite through him. Well, his hand formed, he say below, these part of his ways, but how little portion is heard of him. How little do people hear? Portion is the bar. Shema is heard. So how little, whisper, little, inkling, shemetz, how little of a sound do people hear the word and believe of this particular man and the thunder of his power? Who understands it? Now, when we go back up, right, dead things are formed under the waters and the inhabitants thereof. Baptism. That's baptism. Hell is naked before him. Destruction have no covering. This is the grave. He see everybody in it. That's when it goes to talking about what he built. But this is the other thing. Listen to what he said. Who have helped him that was without power? Who saved the arm that have no strength? You could look at that in the aspect of when Mashiach rebuked them boys on the stake. He said, who have counseled him that have no wisdom? Who can have compassion on him who is ignorant and out of the way? And who have plentifully declared the thing as it is? To whom have uttered words and whose ruach come from you? Because he's talking to these boys, because these boys running their mouth and don't know nothing. But we'll leave that alone for now. Psalms 139, because we're getting late. It's 11:17. Come on down here, right? Now, we talked about verse 16 a little while before that, but we'll come back and deal with it. We'll just probably slide this in another song, because he's talking about how you can't count the works which this man has done. And of course, you know that ends that in that second to last chapter of John. But he says, surely you will slay the wicked, O Elohim. Depart you therefore, bloody men. Now, of course, you know bloody is dumb. It's just simple as that. Bloody men. Well, what makes them bloody? They're covered in sin, but they're also men of injustice and violence. He said, for they speak wickedly against you, and your enemies take your name in vain. See, that's that epistle of Jude. You can go ahead to that epistle of Jude. Now, when you're talking about taking his name in vain, that's shav. That means they speak falsehood. When they speak in the man's name, they lying. The epistle of Jude. Think about verse 10, maybe 13. You can make it 9. Epistle of Jude in verse 9. Yet Michael the archangel, when contending with the devil, he disputed about the body of Moses, durst not bring against him a railing accusation, but said, Yahuwah rebuke you. These speak evil of those things which they know not, but that what they know naturally as brute beasts, and those things they corrupt themselves. Woe unto them, for they've gone in the way of Cain, and ran greedily after the error of Balaam for reward, and perished of the gainsaying of Korah. And again, you're looking at 3 elements when he's talking about people who speak evil of which they don't know not. You're talking about Cain, who was envious and jealous of his brother and therefore murdered. You're talking about Balaam, who went after riches out of his selfishness. And you're talking about Korah, who had the desire to talk against those who Elohim had spent to administer the word in order to lift himself up. And 3 things were apparent in all of these men. Well, 2 things were apparent in these 3 men, pride and selfishness. All of them exhibited pride and selfishness. Cain was proud and upset because his offering was not accepted. Balaam knew exactly what Yahuwah told him to say, but Balaam wanted that bread. And Korah just wanted to be the man. He just wanted to be the man. And what happened to all 3 of those men? Nothing good, I can tell you that. These are spots in your feast of love when they feast with you, feeding themselves without fear. They are clouds. Clouds they are without water, carried about of winds. Trees whose fruit wither without fruit, twice dead, plucked up by the roots. For those of you who don't remember what that means, I will share that with you very quickly. Number 1, when he said there are clouds without water, meaning the early and latter rain, you can see Hosea chapter 6 and about verse 1 in that regard. So if there are clouds without water, that means they have no spirit within them. He turned around and said they are carried about of winds. They're tossed to and fro with every wind of doctrine, easily deceived. Fruit that is withered without fruit. That takes you to the parable of the fig tree. Then he say they're twice dead, plucked up by the roots. Every tree that my heavenly Father have not planted shall be plucked up. They're twice dead because not only do they die in the flesh, but then they will be awakened upon the resurrection of the dead and taste the second death. Raging waves of the sea, this is verse 13 of the epistle of Jude, foaming out of their own shame, wandering stars, to whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever. And Enoch also, the 7th from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, behold, the Lord come with 10,000 of his faithful to execute judgment upon all and to convince all that are ungodly among them of all their ungodly deeds which they have ungodly committed, of all their hard speeches which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. These are murmurers, complainers, walking after their own lust, and their mouths speak great swelling words, having men's person in admiration because of advantage. What has he just told you with these people? They speaking wickedly, and your enemies take your name in vain. Not only have they speaking it wickedly, but then they lie on the man. And see, we could take that and roll that into the beast. You can take that and roll that into many false prophets. They speak wickedly, and then they take the man's name, take the name of Yahuwah, and make it false. See, and a lot of dudes, their first thing they like to point at is that Christian church, but the Christian church is not the first place you need to point, because those are houses of ill repute. So you should expect falsehood in a house of ill repute. Why would you expect righteousness from a house of ill repute? That makes no sense. Back to Psalms 139, verse 21. He said, do I not hate them, O Yahuwah, that hate you? Am I not grieved with those that rise up against you? Remember, he will gather all the nations up to do what? To battle the Lamb. Now, he said he's grieved. That means he feels a loathing. He loathes oneself. Be grieved. There is a loathing. There's a loathing that he has for those who rise up against Yahuwah. Now, of course, Saneh is the word for hate, and it literally means to be hateful and judge one to be an enemy. I hate them with a perfect hatred. I count them my enemies. Perfect in this particular passage is tekaleth, and that is perfection, completion, completeness. That means he hates them with a complete hatred. And why wouldn't he? Do y'all remember what he told King Jehoshaphat about that? When he asked him, why do you love those that hate Yahuwah? Y'all know what I'm talking about? That's in 2 Chronicles 19. You can read that in your own time. And when you look up them words in Hebrew for hate, it is literally hate. He hates them with a complete hatred. And he said he count them as his enemies. And you know, Yoav is enemies now. That's an enemy, literal enemy, a foe, most importantly, an adversary. And that's really how you would look at them. I count them as an adversary. Because if they hate Yahuwah, then they're going to be adversarial when it comes to that. You can't love Yahuwah and one person hate Yahuwah and think that you're going to play on the same roster and that you're going to play in harmony. The only way you could play in harmony is because you both hate Yahuwah or you both love Yahuwah. It's the only way that you can play in harmony. Verse 23, search me, O Elohim, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts. See, now we didn't talk about this, try me and know my thoughts. First and foremost, with the thoughts, that's disquieting thoughts. Sarah. Let's get this English definition for disquieting again. When you're looking at that, that's worry, uneasy, anxiety. Remember, when we talked about, my memory come back on that. When we talked about this, we jumped to Philippians 4. He said to search me, O Elohim, and know my heart and to know my worry. Now, when you got to try, you know that's pecan. That's to examine, to know my anxiety. And that goes back to what we were talking about with the faith. Because look at what this David is asking. To examine his worry. Matter of fact, I've talked about it before. Do y'all remember what one of the men said in the book of Matthew? They came to the Lord and they wanted something to do him. He said, Lord, increase my faith. He said, my faith is weak. He's coming to him, telling him, I got worry in me. Because when you got low faith, there's anxiety, there's worry there. You have to examine what you're worried about and why are you worried? What is there a need to worry? Now, I mentioned to you this last week. I'm going to mention it to you again. Any of you who have been serving Yahuwah for an extended period of time, has this man ever failed you in anything that you needed? Not what you wanted. Now, again, it may not have been what you liked. It may not have been what you desired. It may not have came when you wanted it. But whatever it was that you needed, did the man fulfill the need? And if he fulfilled the need, that should be able to develop the confidence that there should never be, because it's natural. You're in the flesh. You're going to get anxious. That's why he say, if you feel anxiety, think of those things that are pure. First thing he tell you to do is to pray. See, a lot of anxiety and worry comes in of us because we do not pray consistently enough. or when those thoughts arise, because I don't want to say feelings because they're thoughts. When those thoughts arise, you don't seek prayer. And we also do not have enough humility to say, I'm feeling anxious and worried. Pray. See, you have a lot of bruisers, you have a lot of Christians, they will openly say that and say, come pray for me. Or not even say, come pray for me. Will you pray for me? And not pray for me just over the phone, but they will come to each other. They don't have no problem of being in the midst of the assembly and say, I'm dealing with this here. Will you pray with me? Most people won't even ask other people to pray with them because they have this here. Because you see that throughout the text. It's more specifically in the New than the Old. People coming and saying, come pray over somebody because they're dealing with something. But that is because what did Mashiach tell us? Men ought to always pray and not to faint. Because the purpose of making the supplications is to ease the concern. It's coming to the, remember he said, now you can come to the throne of grace for help in the time of need. But most of us won't come. That's why he say you won't come to me that you might have life. You won't come to him. So remember, if you come to him, he's going to come to you. But if you forsake him, he's going to forsake you. That's what he is told. It's a very easy dynamic. But again, when we're looking at searching the heart, he's sitting back looking at this and he said, if there be any wicked way in me, lead me in the way of everlasting. Now, you know, Olam, you know, lead is Nahar. But when you look at Osab, you know that's wicked. So, and when wicked here, again, it's not what you think it is. It's Oseb, and that's pain and sorrow. He said, if there be any sorrow in it, lead him in the way of everlasting, which allows my segue to the verse that I wanted to do this evening. I did not know how we was going to get it in, but praise be to Yahuwah. He brought it in through the clutch. Proverbs 10 and 22. You can make it 10 and 19 or 10 and 18. Well, shoot, I'm gonna go on all with it then. 10 and 17. 10 and 17. Proverbs 10 and 17. He is in the way of life that keep instruction, but he that refuse reproof err. He that hide hatred with lying lips, and he that utter slander is a fool. So you have to sit back and look at that. People who like to hide their hatred, again, this is going back to what we sit back and look at. What was that person was reading? That they take the man's name in vain or speak falsehood, and that's something that with regard to the beast. Anybody who utters slander, which is to do what? Which is to lie, defamation, evil report, they're a fool. Verse 19, in the multitude of words, there's a want. In the multitudes of words, there want not sin. He that refrain his lips is wise. The tongue of the just is choice silver. The heart of the wicked is little worth. The lips of the righteous feed many, but fools die for want of wisdom. The blessing of Yahuwah, it make rich. He add no sorrow with it. So when you look at the blessing of Yahuwah, which making rich, which you know is a shar, which is Ayin, Shan, and Rosh, you have experienced and been paired to the highest in order to become rich or to gain riches, because you know this is what the dude Anton that be on the Lepee jump. He was going in on the passage about the rich dude, and he used it out of context. And somebody in the group was stating of how he used it out of context. And I said, and they tried to ridicule the man who was saying he was using it out of context. And I'm telling the brother, like, the verse that he was trying to elucidate to you is what's in Proverbs 13 and 7. There's a man who have great riches, yet have nothing. Because he referenced the rich man. And we were talking about this here. The rich man didn't have the problem because of the riches, because he said he kept the man's commandments. But when he had to have faith to follow the Lamb and give up everything that he had, he wasn't willing to do that, because he said, if you would be perfect, follow me. And that's where it came in at. Could you sacrifice your whole, like I told the brother, he wasn't asking this rich man to do nothing that he hadn't already done when he forsook his throne in heaven and became a man for the means of suffering of death for the redemption of man. He was asking this man to do what he had already done. So when you go back and you see Proverbs 13:7, he's saying there's a man who have great riches yet have nothing, and there's a man who has nothing yet have great riches. The rich man could not understand that. Because though he had great riches, he had nothing because he did not have Elohim, taking you to why Mashiach told them, take heed and beware of covetousness. A man's life does not consist in the abundance of things that he possesses, which is why he tell you labor not to be rich and cease from your own wisdom, because surely riches fly away like an evil towards heaven. Or why he told you if your riches increase, don't set your heart upon it. You know what I'm talking about? And they going back and forth, but I'm like this here because people don't understand the text, because the point of all those passages is focus on Yahuwah. Just focus on Yahuwah. That's the point. Don't get no deeper than that. Understanding that everything emanates from Yahuwah. Focus on him. But see, we stray away from that, and that's where the lack of faith come in at. That's where the lack of faith come in at, because we done lost focus. But when you look at the blessing of Yahuwah, it make rich and add no sorrow with it. And again, when you look at sorrow, what do you have? Etzer, pain. Let me tell you something, man. What is the blessing of Yahuwah? It's the Ruach HaKadosh. It don't add no pain with it. Don't no pain come with that. And what did that Psalms 139 say? If there be any wicked way or any pain, it said, lead me in the way of everlasting. The way of everlasting is the blessing, because that's eternal life. And that eternal life comes through the fact of he was curiously wrought in the secret parts of the earth. I know I said I was going to go back to that curiously wrought, and I did not, but I shall do it right now. Curiously. Rakam. That's that mixed color, skillfully wrought and woven. That linen garment, which is that fine linen, that righteousness of the saints. But let's start right there though for now. Hallelujah for Yahushua in the word. I appreciate y'all time this evening. Bless y'all at the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua. I know we've mentioned a lot of different things, but they all melded together by the grace of Elohim. So praise be to Abba and Shamahim in the name of Yahushua for that. But the main key component is, when you eliminate pride and selfishness, you can be able to facilitate the work that is necessary to build your husband's kingdom, to build his house. Because a lot of things that you got going on is you're not building the house by your husband. That's Psalms 127, by the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about. That if the builders build without Yahuwah, they building for nothing. A lot of stuff we doing, we're not building in the proper fashion. And again, if you simple-minded, and you just focused on a natural born woman, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I'm saying? That's a part of the play. The women can take that and do what they will with it. But we were talking to the men, and those who have ears, they heard, and those who have understanding, they understood. I wasn't talking to no women. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't talking to no women. You can take that, do what you want to with it. You know what I'm talking about? There's a reason for that. As a man, you got to be willing to go build your husband's house. You got to be willing to build your husband's house according to the ability that he's giving you. You got to go build it. You know what I'm talking about? You can't be no unprofitable servant sitting at the house doing nothing, thinking you deserve something from your husband upon his return. That man going to say you unprofitable servant. He going to cut your head off. You know what I'm talking about? That's why a lot of women, you don't understand when your husband come home, why he snap on you when you ain't did nothing all day. You unprofitable. Who wants to provide and care for someone who is of no use to them? That don't even make sense. Nobody is going to keep you on a job if you're unprofitable. If you're not useful in your occupation of your job, they're going to fire you. We know these simple truths in everyday life, and you can't apply them anywhere else. Some of y'all been fired before. You know why you got fired if you wasn't stealing? Because you weren't profitable. You said, that girl, he be tripping, he be telling me this. Well, what you think the Lord gonna tell you when he find you been unprofitable? What you think he gonna tell you? So you mean to tell me I've been gone all this time, you just sat around here and did nothing? And thought I was gonna pat you on the back for doing nothing? You felt like you were supposed to be applauded for that? You didn't do nothing to benefit me. You ready to come tell me what you did to benefit you. You ain't do nothing to benefit me. So you said F me. That don't even make sense. That don't even make sense. And we'll stand up and say that I'm a virtuous woman. I'm a godly bride, fit for a king. Oh no, you got to be fit for queens serve. Don't let that junk fool you. What they be showing you in the movies, them women be sitting on thrones looking cute and looking pretty. No, ma'am, queens serve. They facilitate the building of their husband's kingdom. That's their number one desire. Women in this culture, which is translated to men in their service to Yahuwah, are just looking to be taken care of and feel like I don't have to do anything. And then I know I can slide and extricate his resources from him. And when I say extricate resources spiritually, see, you think I'm talking about money. See, niggas want to take the information and knowledge they got from out that word and try to mix it with that pagonomics they got going on. Do you know what I'm talking about? Because you see these niggas do it. They want to come over there and get the resources from their husband, i.e. Yahusha, and then mix it with that stupidity, because after when they ready to leave, that's extricating resources. See, you thinking resources, you thinking about Federal Reserve notes. I ain't talking about that. That's not, you know what I'm saying? You got to peep the game, man. But get on out of here, man. Blessings out the house of Elohim in the name of Yahusha. Man, I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Yahuwah willing, man. We pick it up on tomorrow and make it do what it do. Sunday night. 8:30, if you would. We'll pop off for trumpets, man. Sunday night, 8:30 p.m. That's what, 19th? September 19th? 8:30 p.m., man. We'll make it do what it do. Yahuwah willing to that time.